Allez, ici on est avec notre concurrent allemand qui justement est en train de faire le mesurage précis. 30 mètres, pas un de plus, pas un de moins. 30 mètres pour sa prise d'élan.
Et voici déjà la troisième avant-dernière série de plus 400 mètres féminin avec au couloir de la promesse liégeoise. Avec le record de la LBFA en 200 mètres, c'est une cadette Maya WACT. Au couloir 3 avec un chrono à 54,36, Chloé van der Meulen. Au 4, elle vient d'Allemagne avec 53,75, la favorite peut-être de cette course. From Germany, Laura Müller. Au couloir 5, Van Weyck, Ave Rousseler, Manon Demaret. Au couloir 6, Van Zesvo, A.T. Lanaken, Eline Claes. Au couloir 7, Ben 7, elle vient du Chili, Violetta Arnaïs Maria Violetta. Et au couloir 8, l'ex-benoise, maintenant au terrain de Louvain, Mario Fickers.
On your mark.
Un descend difficile pour la cadette liégeoise Maya WACT. Obligé de partir vite avec le couloir 12, c'est pas un cadeau. C'est comme ça fait partie de l'expérience, vous allez pouvoir l'encourager. La jeune liégeoise, la dernière de la chaîne Manré. Et elle se débrouille mieux que bien. Alors encore à 55,99. Et sinon, c'est encore trop loin. 2 secondes plus rapide que la précédente. On évolue vers le très haut niveau.
Laura Müller est en tête. Laura Müller qui voit le retour de Manon Demaret. And winning for Manon Demaret. Proficiate. Sans doute un joli chrono aussi pour Maya WACT. On attend avec impatience. Pour Maya WACT dans le vent. 58,23 pour Marie Fickers. Vous allez pouvoir suivre, mesdames et messieurs, dans la quatrième série parce qu'il y a des cheetahs, c'est des essais des cheetahs. Traduit de l'anglais, sur les guépards, l'animal terrestre réputé le plus rapide. Nos cheetahs, nos spécialistes du 400 et surtout du 4x400 mètres sont là. Donc on compte sur vous pour applaudir. Dès la présentation, elle prend toute la course, bien sûr. Le spécialiste du 400 mètres ici. Le 3, le classe, vous connaissez ces noms, bien entendu. Le qui est le champion d'Europe espoir du 400 mètres. Allez vite, attention au kilomètre. Au résultat de cette dernière série de 400. Et tout à l'heure, il y aura du sprint prolongé. Le 300 mètres, tentative pour la Belgique.
Celui-là, oui,
Dans
celui-là.
le site, ça fait la fiche, bien sûr, qui va aller chercher le but.
Ça m'a lâché. C'est assez petit.
Je vais passer la présentation de ces courses qui pour les 4e série du 400 mètres féminin. Tanzanie met in Antwerp, Nederland voor de Piva, au couloir de Andrea Puma. Au couloir 3, in Paris pour Jules Faudrait Article. Elle est finaliste avec le 4x400 mètres des champions du monde et des Jeux Olympiques de Tokyo pour le Bucolt. Au couloir 4, notre autre cheetah, elle est faite à rendre au chemin d'Europe également. À la place.
Couloir 4, Manvir.
Elle est médaillée bronze des championnats d'Europe junior en 400 mètres mixte dans le Scots. Au couloir 6, Frances, une autre irlandaise à de Vanderville. Au couloir 7, toujours des Pays-Bas, Madison Neuber. Et au couloir 8 et 8, Finlande, Juliana Manning. Attention de l'écran. Notre spécialiste du 460 est attrapé de la classe et aussi le pôle Goetz. Ça, c'est des athlètes hyper professionnels et tout le mérite en vient à leurs entraîneurs. Et notamment Caroline, la coach du 400 mètres. Pour nos cheetahs avec Mirte van der Schoot et Anne van der Wiel, la néerlandaise. Une course d'usure ici et on encourage Anne Klaas et Pauline Kokoit. Anne Klaas pour la gang, si tout se passe bien. Anne Klaas, tweede plaats voor Mirte van der Schoot en derde plaats voor Pauline Kokoit. Un joli chrono, hein, 52,43 dans ces conditions, 52,67 pour la deuxième. Et apparemment, Pauline Coq serait plutôt quatrième, semble-t-il. Très très dur de courir un 400 mètres avec du vent soutenu. On s'en félicite tout à l'heure pour le 100 mètres, vent de dos. Mais là, ce vent peut vous user carrément.
Allez, mesdames et messieurs, pour le public qui découvre ce meeting international de Liège, il y a plein d'activités qui sont à votre disposition dans le village, avec évidemment de quoi vous sustenter, de quoi manger, de quoi boire, et également de quoi faire un petit peu de shopping. Et je suis actuellement justement chez Liège avec Carole qui a du coup sa marque de vêtements avec la touche ethnique. Donc si vous voulez découvrir ces superbes vêtements, n'hésitez pas à leur rendre visite juste à côté de la buvette.
« 400 mètres masculins dans ce pré-programme, il y aura 3 séries tout simplement.
Bon alors Phil, si jamais, mesdames et messieurs dans le public, vous entendez un morceau qui vous plaît et que vous avez envie de donner de votre corps, danser sur le rythme, vous pourriez peut-être remporter l'un ou l'autre cadeau ce soir. Donc n'hésitez pas à manifester votre bonne humeur pour le retour du soleil.
Première des 3 séries de 400 mètres masculins, avec au premier couloir les Loin, il vient d'Autriche, Michael Douza. Au couloir 2, avec le maillot des Hautes-Fagnes, Messi Ofuya Igonda. Au couloir 3, Louis. Avec le beau maillot rouge et bleu de FC Liège, Ryan Hayen. C'est un scolaire, U18 autrement dit. Au couloir 6, avec le maillot de l'athlétique team de Crisney, un autre Ryan Kiara. Au couloir 7, c'est un métier qui s'apprend.
On your mark.
Ouais, une petite mise à l'épreuve pour ce jeune athlète du RFC Liège. Ryan Hayen, scolaire, première année encore bien, il part bien. Notez son chrono de référence si vous voulez, 55-39. Il est là pour faire mieux bien sûr, il est là pour nous épater tous. Mais ce sera chaud. Julien Maillard. Julien Maillard est d'accord avec nous? C'est encore long en 400. Excellent, Julien Maillard qui arrive au il surveille le coup et il emporte. Il est plus court là. Deuxième place, c'est pas grand-chose, on va attendre le verdict officiel. Julien Maillard, 53,09. Ça va vraiment trop vite. Ce narquois, ça va vraiment trop vite. En attendant la deuxième série sur en place, il y aura encore des athlètes locaux. Il y a un petit souci de couloir là. L'athlète sud-africain doit être, d'après notre feuille, couleur 8 et pas au 2. C'est Delio qui doit être dans le 2.
I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free from the love I'm falling in love. Voilà, je profite des quelques instants de réglage par rapport à la prochaine série. Je suis avec Amadeo du RFC Liège qui va courir le 1500 mètres. Alors Amadeo, comment te sens-tu avant ta grande épreuve?
Franchement, aujourd'hui, je me sens bien, il y a le soleil, je vois qu'il y a énormément de supporters. Donc honnêtement, je pense que ça va être une belle compétition. Je suis en examen, mais ça fait tellement du bien de venir prendre ici une bouffée d'air avec autant de monde et une belle température.
Ça fait plaisir, Amadeo du RFC, qui a été délivré de sa prison, de sa chambre où il étudie, pour justement prendre un petit peu d'air. Est-ce qu'on a d'autres personnes dans le public ici qui sont en examen? Levez un peu le bras, ceux qui sont en examen. Vous êtes en examen ou pas? Vous êtes en examen? Ouais. Bon, bien écoutez, ça nous fait plaisir en tout cas de vous donner un petit peu de loisirs aujourd'hui et j'espère que vous allez pouvoir encourager nos différents athlètes qui vont se présenter devant vous. Alors, est-ce qu'on a des supporters de RFC Liège ce soir? J'ai l'impression qu'ils dorment encore, les supporters du RFC. Amadeo, as-tu un message pour les copains supporters du RFC?
Ah ben je leur conseille de donner tout ce qu'ils ont aujourd'hui et de supporter les athlètes de RFC Liège de la meilleure manière possible.
Merci Amadeo. Allez Phil, on te retrouve pour la série suivante.
Oui, Jules, parfois moi aussi j'ai l'impression d'être en examen. En tout cas, j'ai un peu préparé ça hier, notamment. On va suivre cette deuxième série avec... c'est une série assez province de Liège, vous allez voir. Avec au premier couloir pour le RFC Liège, Bastien Van Gevergen. Au couloir 2, pour les Hautes-Fagnes, Lelio Abdoulouahab. Au couloir 3, Eman Dri Robe Putzais. Au couloir 4, l'athlète slovaque du RFC Liège, Matus Babolik. Au couloir 5, un autre athlète du RFC Liège, le scolaire chargé de médaille LBFA, Romain Bovy. Au couloir 6, un autre Romain, après cette semaine des championnats d'Europe à Rome, Romain Dumortier. Au couloir 7, Clément Fréture. Et au couloir 8, Len Hayes, le Sud-Africain Ronaldo Mackenzie. Attention pour le départ. Cette deuxième série, le maillot jaune, bien sûr, Robert Putzais, mais aussi l'athlète slovaque de Liège. Oh, vous avez bien excusé, hein, la Slovaquie, on oublie déjà un petit peu ce match de Diable Rouge qui n'ont rien à voir ici. Il part prudemment, Matus Babelik, contrairement à Romain Bovy. On va voir ce que ça donne après la course franchie avec une belle avance par le Sud-Africain Ronaldo Mackenzie, qui voulait courir aux deux. Ouais, attention parce qu'il est parti vite le Sud-Africain et ça revient avec notamment en milieu de piste nos deux athlètes, Romain Bovy, vous voulez encourager les défaites qu'on a fait, Romain Dumortier qui est le sprint et Romain Bovy qui l'emporte dans le sprint et sans doute les deux athlètes des Hautes-Fagnes Verviers. Je pense que c'est Lelio Abdoulouahab, le frère de qui, vous savez, le frère de Mimoun, que vous verrez tout à l'heure en action. Troisième ligne, c'est revenir encore un peu plus à l'international avec encore un athlète de l'RFC Liège en milieu de piste. Alors on s'échauffe très sérieusement sur la pêche qui est sur le clou du spectacle. Et voici donc sur la troisième et dernière série de 400 mètres masculins avec au premier couloir Benoît, il vient d'Afrique du Sud, Jacobus Schumann Avelinus. Au couloir 2, Liège, il vient de Grande-Bretagne, Oliver Blaney. Au couloir 3, un autre Sud-Africain, Johan Enslin. Au couloir 4, avec de jolies références à 47 septembre de Banfi et René Dolan, Bram de Yacht. Au couloir 5, l'athlète espagnol du RFC Liège, spécialiste et même champion universitaire dans son pays du 400 mètres Pablo Jiménez. Au couloir 6, le très expérimenté athlète de l'Excelsior Bruxelles, Sébastien Lins. Au couloir 7, Van Nederland, Sean Orman. Et au couloir 8, l'athlète de François Schauers. Ils sont au 3 et au 4, au 3 le Sud-Africain, en jaune. Mais c'est pas lui qui va le plus vite, c'est le Néerlandais Bram van der Yacht. Van der Yacht qui remonte notre ami joueur Pablo. Pablo Reyes qui réagit bien. Pour les 400 mètres, il a l'habitude des obstacles. Il a qui va le voir dans son pays natal cette année. Il n'est pas encore beaucoup ici au Province Nevet Arena. Il est au coude à coude avec Van der Yacht. Allez Pablo, come on, come on. Et sur le fil, c'est bien le Néerlandais qui l'emporte pour officiel Van der Yacht. Bienvenido Pablo.
minutes, mesdames et messieurs.
Au départ de
ce 1500 mètres, première série, il y aura Vanessa Végéter.
C'est Liège, il y aura Alice Kerebdorf, Florine Ponlo, qui est de l'Olympique Club Andenne, Bérénice Stéphane, Iseux Salier, Juliette Martin, Fanny Dambour, Juliette Reul du RFC Liège, Julie Vangier, Amélie Raffin, l'athlète française du RFC Liège, Maxime Porteur et Lisa Génin.
Allez, on compte sur l'enthousiasme du public.
C'est le vent qui est plus gênant qu'est le vent. Et ça part sur de jolies bases. Course très stratégique que le 1500 mètres. Et tout de suite un peloton bien étiré. Vous faites bien encourager, ça vaut la peine. Maintenant, et surtout dans les dernières centaines de mètres, bien sûr, c'est là qu'elles mettront le paquet. Lisa Génin en tête. Devant Maxime Porteur. Et puis Amélie Raffin. Deux athlètes de Haute-Fagne et de R. Lisa Génin qui fait le ménage, peut-être chez elle, mais en tout cas ici, Elle vaut 4,44. Et bien sûr, elle a envie de faire mieux. Attention dans la tribune, vous êtes là, vous êtes prêts? Et voilà. Clap, clap, clap. Lisa Génie. Maxime Berthaud. Amir Enfin. Fanny Dambourg. Et Bérénice Defaou. Célia Ponlo. Juliette Reul. Et souvent, quand vous avez deux séries, il y a des athlètes qui veulent prouver qu'elles auraient eu leur place dans la première série. C'est pour ça que parfois ça part vite. C'est pas seulement pour battre son record personnel, c'est aussi pour se mettre en évidence pour une prochaine fois. On va passer au 1000 mètres à la fin du virage. Et c'est là que ça devient un peu plus compliqué. Voilà, attention dans quelques mètres. Voilà, je pars par là. 3,15. 15 000, c'est pas mal. Alors, je vais vous entendre encore un peu plus, bien sûr. Parce que pour elle, ça devient de plus en plus dur. En tout cas, sauf accident, Lisa Génie s'envole vers la victoire. L'athlète de l'Iranix, l'Anversoise, Amélie Raffin est passée à l'action. Et Juliette Reul aussi. Et puis l'athlète de Genk qui est, je pense, Maxime Bourteuf. Et les deux athlètes verpiétoises des Hauts-de-Fagne, Célia Ponlo ensuite. Est-ce que nos Liégeoises pourraient revenir sur Lisa Génie? On ne sait jamais, elle se rapproche en tout cas.
Alors, en tout cas, ici en tribune, ça les encourage très fort. Allez, le public, on peut encourager les filles.
Voilà. Ah, ça va changer là, il va se passer quelque chose. Il reste 100 mètres dans cette belle course, quelqu'un de 200. Vous pouvez y aller, c'est mieux pour tout le monde. Est-ce que ce sera Amélie ou est-ce que ce sera Juliette? On dirait que ce sera une Liégeoise. Allez, encore quelques mètres. Et c'est bel et bien une Liégeoise qui va emporter puis la méthode de place pour Maxime Bourteuf en Genk. Belle course vraiment, il y a une deuxième série qui nous attend.
Alors Phil, question pour toi. À quelle place termine Juliette Reul? Alors je demande ça parce que je suis ici avec le fan club officiel de Juliette. Ils sont avec les panneaux, le maquillage, le set complet. Voilà. Juliette, sache que tes supporters sont là.
Alors les athlètes de la deuxième série, elles ont pris bonne note que ce qui lui a du vent et que ça bouge le mauvais tour. Vous avez vu Lisa Génie qui a osé y aller mais qui a un peu payé par troisième place. Donc on va suivre ici au départ de cette deuxième course, une athlète venue d'Estonie, Laura Mazik. Et puis pour la Belgique, Waco, plus exactement, Warren Fleur Carmans. Au Nederland, Elsbeth Siesluk, avec un temps de 4,17. Attention, 4,17, cette athlète de Sar 98. Pour l'Australie, elle vient carrément des antipodes, Rachel O'Brien. Et puis Laurie en Bretagne du RFC Liège. Lorraine Jonathan d'Afrique du Sud, Elise Kouzemans, également du Waco, Monaram, Leila Yayaoui, Netherlands, et puis l'athlète marocaine du RC Liège, Khadija Erasmi, l'athlète qui va servir de Lièvre, sans doute, Hélène Vermeulen, Segerentas, Lieke Hoogstee, Nederland, en ook Eike Maurice, Nederland. Pas mal d'athlètes néerlandais qui ont rejoint les hauteurs de Liège aujourd'hui pour cette 22e édition du meeting international. Tout à l'heure, on aura de belles images sur une image géante qui est à hauteur du 150 mètres dans la sergerie. En attendant, nous allons le jeu pour suivre l'évolution des choses. Par la suite, Hélène Vermeulen en ligne. Leila Yayaoui, Nederland, het tweede positie. Et puis c'est la liégeoise Khadija Erasmi qui ose suivre ce train soutenu. C'est un train pour faire moins de 4,20. Messieurs, appréciez-vous. Vous habituez tout au moins. Vous avez remarqué qu'il y a un trompe dans la course. Le trompe qui a donné tout à l'heure de très belles images aériennes. Et qui sont donc le trio d'athlètes.
J'en profite pour rappeler au public qui est dans l'enceinte de ce magnifique stade que même si ce n'est que le premier tour pour des athlètes, ça leur fait plaisir et ça leur donne de l'énergie si vous les encouragez. Alors ici, mesdames et messieurs, n'hésitez pas à donner la voix, taper dans le main pour nos athlètes. Et on vient de revenir sur la tribune ouverte. Alors, mesdames et messieurs, c'est à vous de redonner de l'énergie comme un public.
Super travail de cette athlète de l'Irlande, Hélène Vermeulen, qui a remporté quelque peu le duo. Avec le maillot jaune en deuxième position, c'est Junior, deux athlètes marocaines en tête dans la course en angle. Hélène s'est retirée. On revient spontanément à la gauche. Leila prend la tête avec quelques mètres d'avance. Khadija c'est Rachel O'Brien. Rachel O'Brien en troisième position à la tête ouest-indienne. Attention à cette grande athlète qui semble revenir sur le duo de tête.
Et attention, mesdames et messieurs, comme vous avez le dernier tour, vous avez entendu la cloche sonner, le public. On vous est là, allez-y.
L'Australien en tête. J'ai rien en Australie. En tout cas, ils sont quelques-uns à être venus ici à Liège. Moi, si on fait le voyage, je continuerai. Mais c'est peut-être pas fini. c'est terminé, ça suit partout. Le Salé en tête, marche avant elle. Les Salvatore avec Laura Marzik, l'Estonienne. Elle est turquoise, une très belle course de la Liégeoise de Khadija Nialati. Super, l'arrivée de Nick Boursier. Il a fait la deuxième peloton avec l'athlète de local qui est en forme pour le record personnel. Voilà les athlètes liégeoises qui vont faire tout contre les Australiennes, les Sud-Africaines, etc. dans le meilleur domaine. De course également de 400 mètres chez les messieurs dans quelques instants avec dans la première série de Liège, Alexandre Messi, Pierre Fischer, Liège Sven, Sacha Dejal, Mathieu Joly, avec Jacob Jiménez, Christophe Mertz, Ahmed Zouneyaoui, Nicolas Max, Yassine El Yabali et Johan Koulkan. Mathieu Joly qui prend la tête. Sacha Dejal qui en est. Mathieu Joly. Et Nicolas Mandax. Un trio de Liégeois coincé entre deux RPA, dont Pierre Fischer, le valeureux master. Et vous verrez donc le drone qui fournit des images magnifiques, comme dans tous les grands meetings. On vous rappelle, si vous avez l'occasion de faire enregistrer par quelqu'un ce reportage, ça vaut vraiment la peine. Audio pour la RTBF, RTC Télé Liège et N24. Il y a aussi le jeune liégeois Yacine El Yabani qui revient en 3e position. Christopher Merce qui prend la tête. Ancien liégeois maintenant passé à R. Grand Mathieu Le Joli. Et en 3e position, Yacine El Yabani, c'est un athlète italien. Ahmed Benyaoui en position également. Christopher Mertz, Mathieu Le Joli. Nicolas Ranlax. Yacine. Peter Schwanen aussi. Et Christopher Mertz qui s'envole dans un stade où il s'est entraîné nombreuses fois. Les athlètes de la province sont au rendez-vous. Le chauffeur qui a un record 4,06. Il va peut-être faire un peu mieux. Christopher Mertz, victoire garantie ou presque. Une belle fin de course des jeunes liégeois. Nicolas Ranlax, Yacine El Yabani. 4e place pour Sachin Jeanne et Ousfagne. La deuxième série déjà prête, avec au départ Thomas Pierron, Alexandre Tacher, Hugues Julien, Loïc Nebo, Josh, Messina, c'est un Sud-Africain, Oussama Awad. On continue Justin Toussaint, Mickey, Laurent Nermans, Michael Aroui, Antoine Duet et nous sommes aujourd'hui ce Williams, attention le départ. Cette course a entendu que Julienne, l'excellent aérien, jouait sa 63-30. Il n'a pas le maillot de club, mais on va reconnaître quand même. Devant Maurice Stevens, Luxembourgeois. Liège, troisième position de Sud-Africain. Il y a un athlète du centre en cinquième position. Le équilibre avec le maillot rouge et bleu de la Liège, bien entendu, et attention à l'exemple de la chaîne, par exemple, le maillot rouge en cinquième position. C'est délicat de la séquence. Très expérimenté aussi, l'athlète ordinaire dans la nuit. Maintenant, c'est pas mal de saluer qui passe en tête. Dans le milieu.
En bonne position.
Attention à venir toujours dans la position qu'il veut faire. C'est une activité très attractive. Voilà, le président c'est le junior sud-africain de Stellenbosch en Afrique du Sud. Les pièces le week-end dernier en maillot noir. Il veut faire 60 donc. Et toujours ça qui emmène. En doublé, le maillot qui prend les commandes à quelques 200 mètres de l'arrivée. Comme on a suivi le début du week-end, en quelques mètres d'avance à ses adversaires. Que de la place qui veut mince. C'est pas fait de couverture. Vous connaissez les talents du vétérinaire notamment du week-end. Qui nous lance cette bouille pour sa marche de la course de celle-ci. Un truc de l'objet de 4 minutes. C'est terminé la stratégie de 490 euros plus course de la pouvoir nationale.
On va essayer de vous expliquer plus avant le départ de cette deuxième course. avant cette troisième course. Avec ici Maxime Michel, on laisse le double junior de Liège, WACT, puis ce deuxième aussi de Liège, Thierry Abad, Kevin Kavikoku, et puis l'Israélien Zemenou Moutier, un autre compatriote à lui, Necho Nayachev, Neto Gortiès. Puis les athlètes pour cette troisième série de 1500. En anglais.
Et c'est Liège Gortiès qui emmène devant l'Israélien Necho Nayachev et Bristoger, le Liégeois de la section BEL, aussi spécialiste du 3000 steeple.
Allez, les jeux publics du Montpellier est devant vous pour leur deuxième tour. Et je pense qu'il y a quelques supporters du RFC Liège qui sont là. Et qui vont pouvoir se manifester avec les supporters.
Après le trio de tête, il y a des WACT qui montent les doigts à la balle. Numéro Gortiès, c'est ils auront aperçu par Liège Nayachev et Bristoger qui tente le coup. Les autres dans le coup de 6 pour les gâteaux. Zemenou Moutier, un nouveau Israélien en jaune qui emmène le deuxième peloton. Devant Thierry Abad de la WACT, des mémoires blanches de Bourg-Louis Samuel, bien entendu, et puis un homme de Vandenberg, Schuijberg, Jefferson van Aldenberg.
Alors, Philo d'ici, retournons juste avec les supporters de notre troisième essai pour l'instant, Bristoger.
C'est une sélection très dynamique, c'est Nicolas avec une piste à la boule. On a Guenel, dans la première, on va se faire regarder contre le début. Vous voyez les activités car entre le but de la Necho Nayachev. On a peut-être Israélien ou aujourd'hui une dernière éthiopienne. Ça va être à la gauche. Bristoger fait le profil, il a un peu. Mais quand ça nous touche à côté de nous, c'est Israélien. Maxime Michel avec le maillot de la ville, jaune-bleu. Bristoger pour un super vraiment pour le réussir au retour du deuxième Israélien, Zemenou Moutier. Les Israéliens. Alors que son compatriote ne cesse de prendre des écarts, un très beau planifié pour Mister Necho Nayachev. Et j'adore ce garçon un peu visueux, maillot blanc. Nayachev, un an à venir. Et pour le deuxième Moutier, 3,46,28, on a de belles places. Le WACT, on a la quatrième place pour Thierry Abad. Juventus. On a sorti du temps de la méthode en dessous de 3,40 au départ dans quelques petites minutes.
Ah, je t'entends même très bien. Salut Martin. Oh, c'est incroyable, ça marche. Bonjour Frédéric. Oui, je t'entends Yann. Oui, je t'entends. Ok. Ok, mais de toute façon, tant que tu me dis 3-2-1, j'y vais, je m'arrête pas. Tant que tu me dis 3-2-1, j'y vais, je ne m'arrête pas. Ok, très bien. Bon, on va faire une petite répète, juste une. Oui, oui, on fait ça. Oui, bienvenue à toutes et à tous, bienvenue sur les hauteurs de Liège, sur ce stade Németh Vaumont pour la 22e édition du meeting international entre les championnats d'Europe de Rome qui viennent de se terminer il y a quelques jours à peine et les championnats de Belgique fin du mois de juin. Beaucoup de meetings au programme, évidemment Madrid, Genève, mais aussi Liège où beaucoup d'athlètes sont présents ce soir pour soigner leur ranking olympique, pour tenter de se qualifier ou simplement pour faire une dernière répétition avant les Jeux de course contre la montre pour pas mal d'athlètes en direction de Paris. Il y aura évidemment de nombreuses têtes connues. On pense à Elliot Crestan qui tentera de battre le record de Belgique du 600 mètres, à Cynthia Bolingo, Elena Ponette encore qui tenteront elles aussi sur 300 mètres d'établir une nouvelle marque nationale. Ismaël Debjani sur 1500 mètres sera lui aussi à la recherche d'un minima qualificatif ou en tous les cas de bonnes sensations. Thomas Carmois à la hauteur, Ben Broeders à la perche, de nombreux athlètes internationaux également. Un programme riche et varié sous le soleil, vous le voyez. Les dieux de l'athlétisme, les dieux du sport sont liégeois ce soir et on va retrouver pour commenter tout ça ce programme très intense notre duo de commentateurs évidemment Martin Ouénance et Frédéric Conneux. Bonsoir messieurs, amusez-vous, faites-nous plaisir. Voilà, ce sera plus ou moins ça.
Ouais, il me demandait si on avait une petite lampe. Je vais juste changer les piles. Et si jamais vous avez un petit bouton, c'est pour parler directement au réalisateur. Comme ça, vous n'êtes pas obligé de parler à l'antenne. Okay. Ouais, c'est un push to talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, professionnel, mesdames et messieurs, de la Belgique. Un tel applaudissement pour notre recordman BEL. Mesdames et messieurs, public de Liège, est-ce que vous pouvez applaudir nos perchistes qui sont debout? Bonsoir Liège. Est-ce que vous allez bien ce soir? Alors Liège, j'ai l'impression qu'il va falloir s'organiser un petit peu. Mesdames et messieurs, tout le public, je vais demander à vous, s'il vous plaît, de couper le son de musique pour entendre uniquement le public fantastique de la cité Arnaud. Public de Liège, est-ce que vous êtes là?
Alors, mesdames, messieurs, bienvenue ici à Liège pour le meeting international d'athlétisme, le province de Liège, avec bien entendu du sport de l'athlétisme, mais aussi du fun. Alors, vous aurez évidemment la possibilité de pouvoir voir de très près les stars de ce soir avec la grande zone. On vous invite évidemment, dès l'arrivée des courses, à aller voir vos champions, à aller voir de près, prendre des autographes, des photos. C'est l'occasion évidemment de rejoindre cette grande zone pour se faire plaisir. Deuxième élément, évidemment, on est là pour le plaisir, donc n'hésitez pas à partager sur les réseaux sociaux vos différents moments de plaisir avec, évidemment, sur Facebook, Instagram et autres, la mention meeting international d'athlétisme de la province de Liège, et ce sera sous couvert. Et dernier élément, évidemment, il y a ce soir du spectacle sportif avec dans les concours Ben Boulos ou sur la perche qui tentera de battre son record de Belgique, et Thomas en hauteur qui sera également là pour essayer de s'envoler encore très haut vers un minima olympique dont il se rapproche grandement. Philippe, la porte est à ton merci à tous et bonne soirée.
Oui, nous tous ensemble, on a bien chauffé la salle, on peut dire. On va vous présenter quelque chose très rapidement. On va voir du régal, mesdames et messieurs, ce soir. Sur 100 mètres, on va voir la double championne du monde du pentathlon novice opposée à Anne Sacré, entre autres notre recordman de Belgique. On va voir le retour sur 100 mètres de Julien WACT. On va voir les Liège avec deux Liégeois qui sont retournés les mondes. On va voir encore un fameux 300 mètres qui va dans l'affiche de sprint international avec Cynthia Bolligo et Anna Protelet qui vont s'attaquer au record de Belgique. Cynthia et Anna qui sont humaines et les mondes dans le tout récent championnat d'Europe de 4x4 à Rome. Sur 100 mètres dames, ce serait de régal. Il y aura Marie Rotus et Elise, finaliste du 4x400 mètres. Il y aura aussi la division bougeoise, Patricia Malawican, qui est à 11,00 aux portes des 11 secondes, donc, ainsi que Marie-Joas, la Cérisienne. Il y aura encore sur 600 mètres masculin une tentative de Tristan Lamourois avec Picosis de Maurice pour un peu plus en haut. Et puis en 600 mètres féminin, peut-être là sous les 1 minute. Et puis alors du demi-fond, du 400, du 5000, du steeple et puis en plus un petit peu d'obstacle en plus de 400 mètres relais. Voilà,
alors, mesdames et messieurs, public, est-ce que je peux demander à tout le monde, s'il vous plaît, de tendre les bras vers le soleil, cet astre bienveillant qui veille sur nous aujourd'hui. Mesdames et messieurs, tout le monde dans le public, tendez les bras vers le soleil. On va faire l'incantation pour le gagner avec nous. Cut the music, please. Cut the music. Tout le monde entend les mains et vous connaissez la chanson. Tous avec moi. 3, 2, 1. Et c'est parti pour ce soir de musique.
Allez, merci Jules, bon spectacle à tous et c'est une soirée mémorable qui s'annonce avec de fantastiques athlètes ce soir et un programme de feu.
Nous revenons vous allez voir sur les énergies sur la tout à l'heure.
Et d'ailleurs, si vous avez envie de taper sur la musique,
Et ce qu'on peut faire, je pense, c'est faire une première partie et le public est bien à suivre.
notre mascotte, le lion de la Pointe-Liège. N'hésitez pas à lui faire un petit coucou. Et si vous voulez faire un petit selfie, faites ici. Et puis, je vais faire un petit photo avec vous tranquillou.
Messieurs, le FC Liège Athlétisme compte actuellement près de 700 membres d'Ossardé, c'est-à-dire licenciés, bien encadrés par de nombreux entraîneurs, avec plusieurs sections dynamiques, comme celle de BEL, de Visée, la randonneur, les reloisirs et la brûlante école d'athlétisme. Bref, un club en plein renouveau. Le RFC Liège, c'est le club qui possède le plus de titres masculins, dont une incroyable série de ainsi que de la Coupe d'Europe junior. Le club rouge et bleu a réussi cette année une belle troisième place avec ses dames et ses hommes dans les intercercles mixtes en First League et deuxième place de ses jeunes en D2. Grâce à une redoutable équipe de crossmen dans le passé, le RFC Liège a remporté 5 fois la Coupe d'Europe de la spécialité, dont une fois à Liège, sous le feu de Livonnier. Par ses vedettes, le club a brillé dans les plus grandes compétitions, comme le champion du monde de cross-country, Léon Scoff, comme les 2 médailles de jeu de Caramisement, d'autres olympiques aussi comme Émile Lévin, Henri Scott, René Goris, Georges Schruder, Fauzi Mabi, Roger L'Espagnard à 3 reprises, Lambert Micha, Jean-Paul Gruvier et surtout la double championnat de la plateforme Nafisa Koutsiane, tout récemment titré une 3e fois à l'Europe de Rome. C'est l'élément du joueur de la tête 76 années, comme la scolaire Nafisa Koutsiane, de notre champion et champion d'Europe 18 en ancien junior. Comme Valentin Ronald ou encore notre piloteur espagnol, que vous avez vu tout à l'heure, le champion universitaire Pablo Pérez, sans oublier les 5 titres au championnat du monde de notre olympique que vous allez voir en action très bientôt, Maxime Carabin et Roger Hampton. On va héberger dans le magnifique cadre de la provinciale ce soir, le RFC Liège démarra il y a plus de 100 ans à Pointe, ainsi qu'à Corneuse, avec une transition par le synthétisme du circulement dans les années 70. Ici à Montebellon, le club d'athlétisme s'est idéalement rapproché de son transfert de football, né en 1892.
Je pense que le public n'a pas été assez convaincant avec l'incantation du soleil. Un petit nuage qui vient nous ennuyer là. On va presque dire qu'on a perdu l'habitude.
Ce soir, on a de la chance, le temps est avec nous. Le temps est avec Liège pour les athlètes, pour des performances et bien sûr pour le public présent en masse ce soir. Et à la perche, c'est un deuxième échec pour Phil Tiens à 5 mètres et le concours qui progresse doucement dans ses hauteurs. Évidemment, est l'un des clubs les plus prestigieux du pays, avec notamment un nombre très important de titres nationaux interclubs remportés, notamment dans les années 80, 90 et 2000.
Le KFC Liège. Ils étaient tous là, la fanfare, les pom-pom girls, la mascotte et les sociétaires. Encore bravo et merci à tous d'avoir été présents pour cette ouverture de meeting. Et d'ailleurs, on en profite également pour féliciter notre mascotte de la province de Liège, notre lion, qui malgré une blessure musculaire est présent avec nous sur le terrain. Merci à notre lion de Liège. Et donc, nous avons, mesdames et messieurs, sur la présentation de nos athlètes. Pour le prochain.
Et mesdames, messieurs, bien entendu, n'oubliez pas que vous avez un rôle à jouer en tant que supporter. Les perchistes sont là, mettez la clap, mettez du bruit, soyez présents. Les sportifs ont besoin de vous pour monter encore plus haut.
Bon Bruno, on va aller leur montrer comment faire un clap. On va leur montrer. Alors mesdames et messieurs, ici on est avec le virage. Est-ce que je peux vous demander de lever les bras en l'air, s'il vous plaît, le public?
Allez, le virage ici, là, nos 200 mètres, là.
Levez les bras en l'air, le public. On va faire un clap ensemble, attention.
Vous êtes invités dans quelques instants. C'est la production du concours Honda Homme, mesdames et messieurs. Liège, est-ce que vous êtes prêts? Applaudissements pour le lion de la province de Liège.
attention, la barre est à 5,16 m ici pour Tampa. Ah, dommage, ça rate un peu là.
Donc au concours de perche, nous sommes maintenant à 5,16 m. On rappelle que la barre passera par 5,86 m et cela serait synonyme pour Ben Broeders en cas de franchissement, bien, tout simplement d'un nouveau record de Belgique.
Ouais Bruno, c'est dommage, on aurait bien voulu continuer avec Ilio Philippens, le star junior en fait de Saint-Tron. Champion de Belgique dans sa part.
Good evening and welcome into the 22nd edition of the international meeting here in Liège. This cosy, atmospheric arena set to host an all-star cast tonight. Some of them we're already seeing in the pole vault on your screen. But look, we're just over a week until the Olympic qualifying window is closed and national championships would have taken place. It's fair to say Olympic spots, well, they loom large tonight. There's a lucky few who are already sure of a place in Paris. For them, it will all be about honing their Olympic form heading into that championship season. And from a Belgian perspective, they have the stars in town tonight. You'd expect that. Cynthia Belingo going for the Belgian record over 300 metres. Elliot Crestan will attack that Belgian record over 600, standing back from 2002. And spectators will also be able to enjoy the Liège resident and three-time world para champion Maxime Carabin as well. But myself, Matthew Seddon, I'm going to sit alongside Alex Seftel this evening, where between us we'll take you through the ever uncertainty of high-class international athletics. Look, nothing's guaranteed in this business. Alex, we've got a packed 2 hours ahead of us. How is the season shaping up so far? Is it everything you expected? You were at those European Championships in Rome. Well,
yeah, well, I think we saw an extraordinary number of championship records, particularly in the jumps and also a quick track there. This evening, as you say, it's some of Belgium's best, really, hoping to take the opportunity, if you think about it from that point of view. A number of athletes have actually set their personal best in some of those unusual distances, like 300 and 600 metres, at this meeting in the past. So that'll be quite interesting. Obviously, the decision to do those sorts of distances you might think is a little bit unusual when you're trying to get a qualifying time potentially for the Olympic Games. But, I mean, you had a theory about that. Maybe it takes a little bit of the pressure off if you've got a packed schedule at the moment?
I think so, and look, a lot of these athletes, they're going to be touring Europe at the moment. They're probably living out of suitcase. They probably haven't been back to their normal training environment for several weeks as they chase those world ranking points as well. So actually, competing over 300 tonight, competing over 600 if you're a sort of an 800 runner, I think it's probably quite a good training session. And again, for an 800 runner, stepping down and just honing your speed a little bit. The same with the 300 for those 400 runs. But also, look, we're going to see some interesting matchups. We always talk about it, don't we? People theorise, how will a 400 fare over an 800? Well, we're going to find out in that 600 tonight. And the same with that 300. You think we've got some electric 200 metre sprinters, and how will they fare over the longer speed?
Yeah, that's something I often associate the 600 metres with, that sort of social media clash that someone suggested, you know, maybe for charity or just for a bit of laugh. There was one, I think it was it Mark Martin Mooney and Guy Learmonth, from a British point of view, they had a bit of a laugh about it a couple of years ago. And the other thing I associate it with is athletes like on the 1st of January or something like that. I got a personal best. Oh, what was it? It was 600 metres, which you haven't run in 5 years.
Yeah, you're dead right. I think another one that springs to mind is where Warholm beat Jakob Ingebrigtsen, doesn't it? You know, how will them two fare over a 600 or a 700? That would be an interesting race for sure between the two Norwegian Vikings, if you like. But, well, pole vault's underway then, Alex, and things are moving along nicely. We are currently at a pretty modest height of, I think it's 516. The bar's at, and we'll be looking to move up to that 526 as well in due course.
Yeah, I'm sure the pole vault will be interesting, as well as the high jump and long jump. So a few field events that will be interspersed between the track action. We've got a real range, in fact, haven't we? Right from sprints to middle distance and long distance. I know you'll be looking at the end of the programme, Matt.
Certainly will be, and we've got the 3,000 metre steeplechase ahead of us, women's 5,000 as well. We've got the world under 20 cross country champion in town, the youngest ever world under 20 cross country champion, just 15 years old when she won that title in Ethiopia. So to see her later on this evening will be quite something. She's only raced once over 5,000 this season, and guess what? It was up at altitude in Nairobi, and she still ran 15:14. So seeing what she can do, but and as well. So we keep one eye on this pole vault. Oh, and a few of them, Alex, just running through already and just not quite sighting it. I'm speaking to Holly Bradshaw about this Tokyo Olympic bronze medalist in the pole vault, and a lot of the time these pole vaulters, because it's such a dangerous event, there's a lot of risk involved. If something's not quite right in that run-up, they just won't bother even planting pole because it's just not worth the risk.
Yeah, well, it involves having a huge amount of confidence in your ability to do so many things in the space of a few seconds. So I think that was Finn Torben, the German, with a second time failure at 5:16. Holly Bradshaw, of course, having a disappointing championships at the Europeans, but yeah, it just goes to show you sometimes if you're not quite ready to hit that bar in early height, sometimes the competition can really not go the way you want it, and that's why we sometimes see athletes coming in a little bit earlier if they're not maybe 100% confident, just to make sure that they do clear a height.
Yeah, you do, and also just to get that feedback around the runway. Every runway is slightly different. Some could be faster than others as well. That might throw your your stride pattern off and your speed going into the vault. So I think there's just a lot of feedback, and we see it all time and time again. Don't we, Flaventers? They're always communicating with their coach, and it's just because it's a forever changing competition down there. Whether the wind picks up or the only thing is just adapting to new poles as well.
Yes, and I guess it's quite simple when we reflect on the track surfaces being faster and faster, you know, right from Tokyo, Eugene, Budapest, the last few major championships. But maybe it's a little bit more unpredictable the way it affects the field eventers, most notably with the javelin at the Olympic Games. But it was also said if the high jump in Rome, if that infield surface was faster for the high jumpers on their run-up, they obviously need to stop and slow down in order to gather that momentum into the jump. So that they found very difficult. So yeah, I'm sure this, I don't know much about this particular surface in Liège in Belgium, but yeah, it definitely is less easy to predict the way it affects the field eventers.
Et les Jeux Olympiques, évidemment, à partir de la fin du mois de juillet. Il y a donc une effervescence ici sur les hauteurs de Liège, et pour cause, un plateau remarquable d'athlètes belges et d'athlètes internationaux. Certains sont là pour soigner leur ranking olympique, certains sont là pour tenter de se qualifier pour les Jeux Olympiques, certains sont là pour trouver des repères ou répéter une dernière fois ou une avant-dernière fois peut-être leur gamme avant le grand rendez-vous de cet été. Il va y avoir un programme très riche et très varié, des têtes connues évidemment côté belge, avec notamment Ben Broeders, le recordman de Belgique à la perche, qui est en ce moment engagé dans le concours. Ismaël Debjani qui tentera de se qualifier sur 1500 mètres, même si c'est un petit peu compliqué pour lui pour le moment, mais on parlera de tout ça en détail évidemment dans quelques instants. Deux tentatives de record de Belgique également sur le 300 mètres féminin avec Elena Ponnet et Cynthia Bolingo, toutes deux récentes médaillées de bronze en 4x4 à Rome avec les Cheetahs. Et puis un autre record de Belgique qui va peut-être être menacé ce soir, le 600 mètres avec Elliot Crestan, habitué du double tour de piste. Le Namurois tentera d'établir un nouveau record de Belgique. Ce sur cette distance inhabituelle du 600 mètres. On retrouvera également Thomas Carmois, je dis bien, à la hauteur, qui cherche lui à améliorer son ranking en vue de la qualification olympique. On rappelle que la fenêtre, elle se termine le 30 juin. Et puis vous le voyez, un temps remarquable sur les hauteurs de Liège. On l'attendait depuis plusieurs jours. Le soleil est de retour, des conditions optimales pour la performance, même s'il y a un peu de vent sur cette piste. Mais les dieux de l'athlétisme sont ce soir liégeois. Parole maintenant à nos commentateurs, à notre team de choc, notre duo, Martin Wénance et Frédéric Honneux. Bonsoir messieurs, merci déjà de nous faire vivre cette belle soirée. Amusez-vous, régalez-nous et vive l'athlète évidemment.
So the Belgian TV presenter just introducing the event and telling you what we've got to look forward to as we were talking about just before. So this first race is, as you can see, the men's 100-metre wheelchair, and some really interesting athletes in this, and some very much with Paralympic pedigree, as you'd expect. With the white helmet just before there in lane 4, we saw Roger Hausch, who is a Belgian who was twice a bronze medalist at the Paralympic Games, so over 100 and 200 metres in Tokyo, and he's also 3 times a world champion. And this is Ali Mehawi, the sole Frenchman in this field. So a set of experienced wheelchair racers here. We've also got Maxime Carabin, who's a 5 times world champion, including at the recent Worlds that they had in Kobe in Japan, of course, over 100, 200 and 1500 metres. So it's a Carabin, it looks like, from lane 6 here, getting away with it. And decent margin of victory there. Just looking at a time in the distance, looks to me like 15:85. So Carabin, one of the strong Belgians in this, and he's a T52 athlete, and they are in different categories. So when that's the situation, it tends to be that the result is decided on point scores. But Matt Carabin got a good getaway there, and it was a decent margin of victory for 100 metres.
Well, absolutely, and with his experience over 1500, Alex, you'd expect him to really come strong that last 50, 60 metres. The minute he got rolling, he was just off, wasn't he? Left the field in his wake. And it's interesting, he'll be building nicely now towards that Paris Olympic Games as well for himself. We expect him to be there after winning those 5 titles at the World Championships. And he'll enjoy now on a home crowd and lapping this track up. Well, Carabin, like you said, he's trains on this very track and surfers as well. He's a bit of a legend in these parts.
Yes, it's interesting, of course, to have a World Championships and a Paralympic Games for these athletes in the same year as well. That'd be quite a job to try and peak for both of those events.
I would have thought so, but you know, we see time and time again, don't we? I think because they all do it, I think it takes the pressure off a little bit. You know, Paralympians, typically they travel the circuit together. We see them at lots of different competitions, and usually at that world level, at that really high class level, they're racing the same competitors. So I think it takes the pressure off. If some chose to miss the Worlds and just peak for the Olympic Games, then I think you question your decision to go to the World Championship and the Olympic Games in that same season, what, sort of 6-7 weeks apart.
Yeah, and I suppose you could say the same about the Europeans and the Olympics, of course, which are pretty much back-to-back. But one of the reasons why there was, I should explain, a World Champs for para-athletes and the Paralympics is because of COVID, really, because there was a 4-year gap with no championships between 2019 and 2023, which was in Paris. Back to the pole vault, Matt.
Yeah, back to the pole vault, and Finn Tolbeheim, we mentioned him, he's crashed out at 5:16. That's a lovely clearance there, and it looks like that was, well, I want to say Singo Sawa, but double check once we get an ID on this athlete as well. It could be Luke Zenker, the German. He's bar currently at 5:16. He's had 2 failures already, Zenker. And gone clear at his height is Thomas van Velen as well, Belgium. 5:42 lifetime best for him. And well, this is Zenker then. Apologies, Luke Zenker, 5:01. Cleared that height, no problems at all. Goes again. Oh, and he's perfect up over that bar. Looks like he got a little clip of it right at the top there. But it stays put for now. And He may be asking those officials, feeding back to them, just potentially just came down on it a little bit. He was good on the height, wasn't he, Alex? But just came down on it a little bit. So potentially he'll want to move those bars back just a fraction.
Yeah, well, it can be difficult for athletes entering at some of these early heights. There are a few in the competition, and the onus is on you to pick up a rhythm quite quickly. And if you can't do that, then it's not long before you find yourself in difficulty.
Yeah, so that's confirmation of Zenke's clearance. And it was Thomas van der Villen before him, the Belgian, who went clear at 5:16. So here's Finn Torbon. And this is actually some replay footage we're getting from that men's pole vault, because I think I spoiled it already for you. Torbon struggled at 5:16, but that was clearance at 5:01. It took 3 attempts for him to go clear at height. And Alex, definitely looks like we're getting some replays coming through now.
Yes, just recapping some of the action, which including might have been during that 100-meter race. And we've also got some of the best athletes yet to enter, and that includes Ben Broders and Rafael Holtstepper, two experienced internationals who we've seen at a number of major championships and who might take the bar if they're at their very best, fairly close to 6 meters, around that sort of 580 mark at least.
I think it would be something special. We saw those sorts of heights. I know Holtstep, Olympic bronze medalist way back in 2012, world champion in 2013. It would be special to see him back operating around about that 580 mark. We know he is capable of doing it. And, well, Van der Villen. Oh, comfortably clear there, comfortably. That's a very good height from him, and I believe that was the 5:16 replay. Previously, we saw him at 5 meters and 1 centimeter, and yeah, no problems at all. He's a man that we expect to see later on, and actually, with those sorts of clearances, Alex, with one eye on that 5:42 lifetime best of his.
Yeah, but he came in there with a huge amount of momentum and actually did very well not to knock the bar off immediately.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm sure he'll be pumping up a bar in these next rounds to come as well. So here he is then, 5:26. That's what happened previously, and this is real time. This is the now. Thomas van der Villen, the Belgian athlete on home soil. He's got a good crowd, a great crowd in that back straight, to be honest. Near perfect conditions, man. 12 degrees here in Liège. Cool temperatures. Oh, I want to say he just came down on it. I thought he went clear, but he just came down on it. But that's good information. And often, actually, pole vaulters will they'll accept probably 1, maybe 2 failures on some heights, because they just need to feel out a new hole and just see how they jump with it and or vault with it, shall I say. And you can see they had the height comfortably over that one.
Yeah, he really did, didn't he? Again, he comes in with really good speed, and he does the first part extremely well. He's patient, he waits for the pole to bend, he gets his feet up really high, but yes, just on the way down, unfortunate there.
Oui, Maxime, félicitations. Vous étiez une des têtes d'affiche du meeting ici, vous avez fait honneur à votre réputation. Avec un record du monde, c'est la soirée parfaite, ça.
C'est sûr, c'est la soirée parfaite, c'est un record que je cherche depuis un petit temps. L'année passée, j'ai pas fait de bon départ, donc je me suis dit c'est pas grave, l'année prochaine je m'y remets. Et là, faire ce chrono après les championnats du monde, c'est juste dire qu'il faut m'attendre à Paris pour rivaliser sur le 100 mètres.
Oui, vous êtes revenu du Japon avec 3 médailles au championnat du monde, mais battre un record du monde sur sa piste devant son public, même si le meeting a peut-être une autre aura, on imagine que ça a une certaine valeur quand même.
Ce qui est sûr, c'est que c'est la seule course en e-sport, donc le faire en plus sur cette seule course chez soi, sur une piste que je pratique matin et soir, c'est magnifique en fait. C'est plus réjouissant de le faire ici que de l'avoir fait ailleurs, même au championnat du monde. Maintenant, si j'en fais au jeu, ça sera aussi beau, mais chez moi, c'est magnifique.
Bon, cette année 2024, elle est déjà réussie, mais elle n'est pas finie. Il y a d'autres objectifs, il y a ces Jeux paralympiques qui arrivent et qui vous tendent les bras.
Ouais, c'est sûr que l'année, elle fait à peu près que de commencer, parce que les championnats du monde, c'est loin du niveau des Jeux, et les Jeux, c'est le rêve de tout athlète. J'ai toutes mes chances pour y aller, j'ai toutes mes chances de gagner, donc j'ai qu'une hâte, c'est d'être à Paris pour montrer tout ce que je viens d'expliquer.
On imagine, on profite un petit peu de l'adrénaline, des bons moments ici, puis demain, on retourne au travail.
Demain matin, je serai ici, tôt le matin et à la même heure que maintenant, pour m'entraîner, pour préparer les autres courses qui suivent avant les Jeux.
Merci Maxime, félicitations.
Well, great to hear from the man who took that 100-meter wheelchair final. That was the first race of the day. Next up, we're going to familiarise ourselves with these hurdlers, these 110-meter hurdlers. Tim Eickermann then, the tall, towering German, semi-finalist in Rome just a few weeks ago at the European Championships. He's a 2 times national champion from Germany. 13.61, his lifetime best as well. Julian Watrin, by the way, Belgium. We thought we were going to see him here, but doesn't look to be. Well, there is Eickermann, as I mentioned, semi-finalist in Rome. A decent European Championships for him. Perhaps would have hoped for a little bit more. But Jakub Demsar then, also a semi-finalist in Rome. He'll know Eickermann well. He's the Balkan indoor 60-meter hurdle champion from 2024 as well. Looks ready, doesn't he? Looks warmed up and primed. Nolan van Kouwenberg. What can he do then? Belgium, third in Houston on Saturday night as well. And already run a lifetime best this year in May. But he's a man also potentially that 13.27, that mark. He's not a million miles away from it. Joshua Hawkins then also in that 13.6 range. The man from New Zealand, a 9 times Kiwi champion. And way back from 2015, his first title there. And this is one of his very first times competing outside of New Zealand, his home state. Well, Michael Zadocki then, second of European Under-23 Championships in 2019. He's the Polish University champion more recently as well. That was just a few weeks ago. Strong showing for him there. Also a 13.6 man at his best. This field could not be tighter. And then finally to complete lineup, Nazir Stepananov, national under-20 record holder. He's developing very, very well. 6th in Houston again on Saturday night. So a slightly disappointing performance from him there. He just snuck inside 14 seconds. His time best at 13.98. And he is someone, given his credentials as an under-20 athlete, obviously we know those barriers are slightly lower, 99 centimeters. Beat the 107 centimeters that these men have to jump. But Alex, I know we said it all the times in the hurdles, but it is one of the tightest races in track and field, isn't it? The margins are so small.
Yeah, and you're really putting your neck on the line if you try and predict a hurdles race. I'm interested particularly, Matt, to see how Julian Watrin goes, because I know the start of the year he was diagnosed with cancer, so it's been quite a recovery process for him, and we often see him over the 400 hurdles, and I'm sure he would have been watching the Belgian team and Alexander Doom win gold individually and in the relay there in the Europeans.
You're right. Watrin on the inside, national record holder over those 400-meter hurdles, 48.66. So we spoke about athletes stepping down distance to do the 300, potentially a 600 if you're half miler as well. But he's stepping down distance here to get a little bit of speed in those legs. So Watrin on the inside, Eickermann, Demsar, van Kouwenberg, Hawkins, Sadocki, and Stepanov go in 8. And there you're 7 runners in this one. Got a nice quiet area at the top of the home straight there. Often athletes will almost have noise complaints, dare I say it, when they're trying to start. Listen to that starter. So hopefully no false starts here. As you can see, Watrin, he is a World Championship medalist, like you mentioned, Alex, in that 4x4. So what can he do? How aggressive will he be early? We know he's going to finish strong, that's sure, with that sort of strength, that pedigree over the 400 and the 4 hurdles. But he's the slowest in the field by far, an Olympic standard at 13.27. And that might be beyond a few of these men. Hopefully we see something around that mark. But, if not, we start to talk about those world ranking points and positions. How many they will take to Paris. 40 and 40 women in the hurdles to go. I'm sure these men will be looking at those world ranking spots. So they settle into their blocks. Watrin's the man on the inside of the orange. He's one to watch. His crowd will know him very, very well. And there is no signs of that band letting up at all. This is how track and field should be done. This is the European circuit, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Watrin off to a slightly slow start on the inside, but keep an eye on him. It's Eickermann, the tall German actually, who's smashing through these hurdles at the moment. Clipped a couple, that's a smooth run, and he edges clear at the end. Comfortably, 13.4. Well, Alex, I'm going to wait for that official time. That's a massive lifetime best if that is the case.
That is extraordinary from Eichmann, racing out the blocks, and what a clean race it was as well. And don't forget, I mean, we said these athletes are very closely matched. I can see, what, 4 of them have all got personal best coming into this of 13.6. So to suddenly take that margin off is incredible.
Well, that would be huge. Got to look at set conditions earlier on in the program. We're near perfect, actually, here in Liège. It's a fantastic arena. Our atmosphere is just bubbling away so nicely. It's Olympic season, ladies and gentlemen. Party fever down there, and Eichmann will be partying tonight. I'm sure of that. Just look at him there in the red, just over that. I mentioned he clipped a few, but actually I feel it was Demsar to his right, our left, who was clipping a few. Eichmann was faultless throughout that whole race, and, well, like a true hurdler, that tip finish is lovely, and that tip is all about the momentum you take off of that last hurdle. How much speed can you carry through that last 10 meters? He was fired up for that one, wasn't he?
Yeah, he certainly was, and it's a virtuous cycle, isn't it? When you know that you've got a good start and you know you're hurdling nicely and you've got good pace and power momentum, then it all just breeds more confidence if you can hold it all together.
It certainly does, and I think that will redeem his performance in Rome. He would have been slightly disappointed, especially if he knew he had that sort of shape in him. Look at everything. Confirmation of time, 13.49. Oh, snuck lifetime best as it all just outside was Van Kallenberg. Unfortunately for him, just 0.05 of a second off his lifetime best as well, so he closed well.
So looks like we're going to be introducing the next set of athletes. So this is long jumpers. First of all, we've got one athlete competing in an ambulant long jump, which is Ilias Benkadur, a Belgian T63 athlete. And then alongside him is a full set of female athletes in their long jump. So this is Laura van den Brander, one of the Belgians in this, 5.79 personal best. So, yeah, opportunity in a high quality field, maybe to go close to 6 meters or even over it for the first time. Exact same situation for Elodie Francard, another who seems very much up for this. As you were saying, with the atmosphere certainly going with the cheerleaders and the band. And then we are on to Tamisha Clark. So quite a decent Australian contingent here, and Clark is 21 years of age, and she's already had the experience of winning the Oceania title. That was in 2022, so she would have been around 19. Personal best of 6.49. Another Belgian, this is Senna van Hoyen, 6.25 her PB. So nice that the athletes are all getting this little moment of introduction. This is another young talent, Libby Buda of Germany. So she won the German indoor long jump title at under 20 level last year. 6.44 this year in Dessau last month in Germany. On to Irma Gunnarsdottir. She's 26 years of age, but already has 14 Icelandic titles. That includes both indoors and out. She's improved this year to 6.45 as well. So I'm sure, again, for her, 6.50 would likely be a target. Elizabeth Heading, I mentioned a good Australian contingent, so 2 Aussies in this field. 6.48, she's improved it this year. Won the bronze medal at the Australian National Championships, which naturally comes earlier in the year than many national champs coming up this month, of course. This is Ilse Steigenger, Dutch woman who actually has a background as a heptathlete with a personal best over all 7 events of over 5,600 points. Again, she's only 21. It's a young field, this. Malin Stavanov is 22, personal best of 6.57 in Gelnhausen in Germany this month. But with the furthest jump out of this field of 6.84, that really is absolute world-class standard, is Marisa Luzolo, another German who was best of all at the European Team Championships 3 years ago and a former World Under-20 bronze medalist. So an interesting field this, with quite a lot of young talent. And another field event this evening is the high jump. So this is Carmoy of Belgium, another of those that Matt mentioned at the start of the programme, who the crowd in tonight will be taking a close look at, I'm sure. We've also got Dove Almels, the European indoor champion. But yeah, Carmoy has come through the age groups and looked very, very impressive, as many young talents have done, like Jaroslava Mahuchik and Angelina Topic in recent years, and we've been quite blessed, but also that they've done well at senior level too, so you can kind of follow that journey, and that's, I think, one of the best things of really watching the age group competitions on these European athletic streams. But Carmoy finished 4th at the European Championships in Rome. So Matt, I feel there are a few athletes trying to make amends this evening for what happened in Rome.
They are indeed, and look, Rome came at a funny time of year for a lot of athletes, wasn't it? It was, not to say it was unexpected or anything like that, but usually athletes are geared towards having a really good performance. Look, basically now, over the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks as well, really peaking in time for their national championships to qualify for the Olympic Games. Well, Carmoy looks to be building nicely into his season.
Yeah, and this is Dove Almels that I mentioned, who won that title in Istanbul last year, the European indoors. Probably the moment of his career so far, although I guess you have to ask the athlete that question before you make that assumption. But there's a national record that he set 2:31 to win that. This year, 2:23 in Poland last month. He was 11th in Rome, so yeah, I know 4th people say might as well be 10th, but he would have been disappointed with 11th. Bringing the bar down, though, here, Almels.
Alors Julien,
Matt, interestingly, he's one of those competitors in athletics who's only ever done one event, which is the high jump, so very much a specialist, which is quite unusual, I think.
It is. I feel like you're either one or the other, though, aren't you? You're either someone who's specialised in that event over the last, 10, 15 years and honed your craft, or you're someone who's dabbled in a little bit of everything early on as well. But hey, let's hear from Warren.
La chance que j'ai finalement d'être en bonne santé, d'avoir pu récupérer aussi vite. Il y a quelques mois, je ne pensais pas être capable de faire ça. Et tout simplement, j'en profite. J'ai la chance d'avoir des bons coachs qui savent me faire travailler une discipline dont je n'ai pas forcément l'habitude. Et donc, c'est chouette de pouvoir faire ça.
Pour le moment, vous restez sur la ligne droite. Il n'est pas encore question d'entamer des tours de piste complets avec ou sans haie.
Non. Alors maintenant je récupère assez vite, donc je pense que je pourrais commencer à prendre des entraînements de préparation pour le 400, mais ça n'a pas beaucoup de sens pour moi de préparer un 400 fin de saison, parce qu'on a déjà en vue 2025, et donc voilà, là je cours un peu sur le 110 mètres, je m'amuse, on va jusqu'au championnat de Belgique, je continuerai peut-être un peu l'entraînement après, et puis on fera une pause d'un mois, et puis ce sera reparti pour 2025 sur 400, puis comme ça on ne prend pas de risque, et voilà, c'est ce qu'on a choisi, et ça me convient bien.
Pas trop de frustration.
So that was Julien Vatran being interviewed by Belgian television. Just going to talk over that to give the opportunity to introduce these athletes who are coming out. So we've already seen Marlene Meyer, a former German champion back in 2022. Isabel Meyer, her teammate, but no relation, different spelling. And she has a personal best of 13:19 in Norwitz.
Merci Julien, on est ravis en tous les cas de vous retrouver en pleine forme sur les pistes d'athlétisme en Belgique.
Twice world indoor champion, Nicola Mazzetti of Italy, who's won the last 2 Italian titles over 60 hurdles indoors, of course. And Zagreb we saw there, who's been in the top 5 at European Outdoor Championships 5 times. This then is the Slovenian Nikola Glojneric, who's the Balkan indoor champion this year. 12.92 at best. Quite closely matched with Zagreb's 12.87 this year. On to Nurul Korkulkoren, a 19-year-old who, as you'd expect, is quite new to the senior hurdles height, but has made an improvement this year to 13.39. And another young athlete, Lynn Beck here of Germany. Personal best in Urdechem, one of the famous meetings in these parts, of 13.31. So, interesting race this, and yeah, I guess, Matt, it's quite similar to that men's hurdle race in that it's fairly closely matched and difficult to predict.
That's very closely matched, and yeah, I think it's going to take someone to step up and run away with victory, quite literally, like we saw Julien Watran do as well, because I think they're gonna need it, aren't they? But people to look out for, definitely Maya there as well. You mentioned Norvitz as well. She looks to be one of the stronger athletes and one in form as well.
Yes, so this is the second hurdles race that we've seen in a matter of moments, and we saw that terrific personal best for Eickermann of Germany, and it looks like Marlene Meyer is wearing the same club vest, the Bayer red vest there, so possibly that might spur her on, having seen her teammate do well. Can see actually Witz is a DNS, unfortunately, so always the commentator's curse for talking her up. And still, though, it's a strong race. Anne Zagra maybe isn't quite at her best. PB for the Belgian goes back to 2015, in fact. She was at Rome at those Europeans, but didn't make it out of the heats. But there are a number of quality athletes for which you could say the same. So, in this one, it's Marlene Meyer, then Isabel Meyer, the two Germans on the inside, then Massetti from 4, Zagre, Glonarich, Kurkel-Koren, and Beck in this women's 100-meter hurdles race. So athletes spring out of the blocks then, and on the inside Meyer going well in the orange and pink vest. Massetti also of Italy battling with Zagre, and suddenly Isabel Meyer comes through for victory. So it's 2 victories in these hurdles races for the 2 Germans, and also I think there again a personal best. Klopp looked to stop briefly, but stopped at 12.9 seconds, and Isabel Meyer's personal best is 13.19. So, well, Matt, that's fantastic for these 2 Germans in these hurdles races.
That would be huge from the same club as well, that Bayer club. And yeah, I was just looking at the Olympic qualifying standards, still a little way off that, but that's going to do a great deal for her ranking points to try and make that German national team. We know how strong they are. They came here and they've conquered the pair of them, Meyer and Eickermann. Fantastic running. They did it in very similar fashion as well. Controlled over the first few flights of hurdles and then just pulled away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, it was a late charge as well. You can see here. I mean, sometimes someone makes a brilliant start next to you and it looks like you've made a bad start. But actually, Meyer came through very, very strongly on her namesake. Not often you get to say that in athletics, but from lane 2 there. And quite reminiscent of that race for Eickermann, who was also second from the inside a few moments ago.
Hey, there must be something about that lane 2, like you said, but also conditions. I think they're near perfect. You know, 21 degrees is just what you want. We've got those distance races come on later in the evening as well, later in the program, and I think by that time it's cooled down for them. It's relatively still. It doesn't seem to be a chance of rain either.
Yeah, so the time looks to have been confirmed as 12.96. Nikola Glonarich got second place. There was a real 4-way scrap really for that second place, and to be nearly 2.5 tenths clear of your opponents is quite a big margin for sprint hurdles, as we hear Anne Zagre now being interviewed.
C'est quand même mieux, il y a une amélioration, mais je suis pas totalement libérée encore.
À Rome, on vous avait quitté avec une petite blessure, elle est toujours un petit peu présente, elle vous embête encore un petit peu.
Encore un peu, ça progresse bien, je voulais faire mieux, mais ça progresse, et donc c'est cool.
C'est une course contre la montre, là, il y a le temps qui passe, chaque jour qui passe. Comment vous le vivez, comment vous vivez cette course olympique?
Je fais du mieux que je peux, honnêtement, je fais du mieux que je peux, du coup... Mais bon, ici, je pense que c'est une course qui doit mettre en confiance, vu que ça fait 3 semaines que j'ai pas fait vraiment de haies, donc il y a du positif. On va se concentrer sur ça.
Qu'est-ce qui reste à faire pour vous jusqu'au 30 juin?
Well, Stefano Sottili, we're just watching him in the high jump, 221, causing a few problems for a few of these athletes, Alex, already. We saw Eugenie Maloney as well, struggle with his height. So the 2 Italians, first-time failures at 2 meters in 21, as you can see, and he struggled throughout Sottile, actually, but can he get it together to clear? Because I think if you get past 221, you really are looking making the top 3 in this field at the moment, because a few of these high jumpers just struggling out there.
Yeah, and it must be really tricky, because we were talking about having packed schedules at this time of year, but you kind of prepare that schedule and then you hope to make the best of it when it counts. And obviously you have to factor in the travel as well and all the kind of different preparations. But we've arrived at a situation where conditions look really good. There's a decent atmosphere as well, good standard of competition, so you hope that the stars will align in a way. But yes, Stile, I mean, he kind of emerged as a young talent, then maybe didn't have that sort of linear progression as people often don't. But last year he won the Italian indoor and outdoor titles. He's still only 26 and has that personal best of 2:33. He was 6th, in fact, at the European Championship. So we're seeing a bit of a reunion, in fact, from Rome last week. Armels then next to go here. I mentioned that he was 11th in that final, the European Indoor Champion. So we're waiting for this competition to hot up a little bit, and I believe, if these are live pictures, then the bar is at 2:21 now.
I think it's Armels psyching himself up out there. And like we said, he's a man who's cleared 2:30 before, so this should be well within him technically, but hasn't been the way. And you mentioned, yeah, Stile was struggling after his superb start in this sport, especially at junior level. But so often we see it, don't we? Terrific youngsters, terrific 19, 20-year-olds. And do you know what I think? When you get to that age, there's nothing wrong with peaking at age. I think you've got to take your opportunities and grasp. I think we always assume as fans and coaches and athletes that we're going to get better with age, but it's not often the case, and I do think you have to take your opportunities. And Stile was someone who did that, and but I'm sure he's enjoying sort of getting back to that form. Armels then getting this crowd going, the Dutchman. He's someone who look at a competition like this. Can I get a nice confidence booster? Can I get a nice win under my belt heading into my national championships, potentially heading into, we know he struggled in Rome at those European championships a few weeks ago, but can he be on that, be in competition, be in that pool, if you like, in Paris? And well, that's not going to give him a good pace to get there at this stage.
That is unfortunate, isn't it? I mean, he's 6'5". He's one of the taller athletes in this competition, and sometimes you feel with the taller jumpers, you know, getting the very end and all of your frame over the bar is one of the challenges.
I think that's it. You've got to have a serious amount of athleticism. These men will train for as well. Let's have a look then at this men's 400-meter lineup. We're going to familiarise ourselves with this in just a moment. We'll go from the outside in. Well, Luis Smiedston on the outside, Belgium. We talk about youth. Look at this man, 17 years of age. He's fearless. He's the Belgian under-18 champion as well. Lifetime best of 48-42. Can he get near that in front of the crowd? Well, Simon Mengalden of Belgium as well. 7th those Belgian champs last year. He'll look to better that this year. Jonas Pfeifers then of the Netherlands, still at the Dutch Championships. 3 wins already this year on his belt. And, well, Florent Mibiel of Belgium, European champion in that 4x400, ran in the heats. So his class has been on that team. His gold medal is worthy of any. And fresh off a win on Saturday as well in Houston. But what about this man, Christopher O'Donnell, in the Irish? He was a mixed relay champion in Rome. Disqualified in his semi-final. We talk about making revenge here, avenging that performance there, the Tokyo Olympian. We saw Highland Martin as well. And next to him then, Max van der Lucht of the Netherlands. Actually, is an 800-meter runner, so stepping down in distance. Bit of speed work for him on the inside. He won in Houston in the 800 meters there. That was the pre-program, but with a 47.4, he just can't help himself. And unfortunately, Leon Pienaar of South Africa, one of the fastest in the field with that 46.01, will not line up. He was just to go on the inside. But look out for O'Donnell then, the Irishman in 4. We talk about favourites. He is certainly one. Tokyo Olympian in the mixed relay, newly crowned European champion. So away they're going. Good start from all these men. They'll have a slight headwind round bend. They won't mind that. headwind to start, sort of carry themselves down the back straight. At least it'll be a tailwind coming off that top end where it really counts. I mentioned O'Donnell, sees his best this year, 45.69. Lifetime best of 45.26. He knows he's in that short sort of shape. Spits some terrific times in that mixed relay and that 4x4 as well. On the outside, Pfeiffer's running well. It's six. Simon Mengal as well. Let's have a look at it. Does look like Pfeiffer's the tall, towering Dutchman at the moment who leads the way. O'Donnell's going to have a lot of work to do down this home straight. This would be a bit of an upset, but a 40 flat lifetime best for Pfeiffer's third of those Dutch championships. He's going to take it here, and he's going to take a whole bag of confidence with him as well into his national championships. And look at the time, Alex. That's a massive lifetime best.
That's absolutely fantastic for Pfeiffer's, just taking advantage of the opportunity that tonight brought to him, and the good competition, the good circumstances, I suppose we are hoping would bring good performances like this one. Yes, but O'Donnell was fighting there to the finish. At one point it looked like he was going to come through on the pair of these athletes, but Pfeiffer's holding on in the end.
Yeah, O'Donnell, well, he'll be slightly disappointed with that. Certainly a race he would have looked to get amongst and try and get the win, but we've got to give credit where it's due. The Pfeiffer's executed it just perfectly, didn't he? Out on the outside there, and I do think had the crowd right on him. That counts something at this level, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that crowd just right on the edge, right up against the barriers there. And, well, when you got that sort of lead in the home straight, he did awfully well to maintain it, because one thing, he didn't have the momentum with him. He was there to be shot at, but he just held them off. Confirmation of those results. Look at that, 45.72. That is a massive lifetime best for him. You know what? Well, edge and clear those running spots. 48 men to line up Paris as well, and he'll try and improve on that bronze medal at those Dutch championships from last year. So Alex, I think we've had 3 races so far, and we've had 3 lifetime bests from the winners.
Yeah, and just thinking about it, I think the wheelchair race as well was a lifetime best. So that's 4 out of 4. That's ridiculous. I don't know who had that on their bingo card, but it puts some pressure there for on the women's 300 meters runners that are coming up next. But then again, how many 300 meters do they really run? So that again makes it likely that it might be a PB as well.
You make a good point there, mate. Lingo going at 300 meters. National record holder over the 400. She is in fine form. She really is. And 36.47. Like you say, time that she doesn't get to have a crack at too much, potentially in training every now and again. Because we also keep one eye on this pole vault. This is Sawa Singo, Japanese athlete over competing on this European circuit, and we mentioned Australians as well. Many athletes will come to Europe and they'll live out a suitcase for the next sort of 8-12 weeks and bid their spot to Paris. Singo 5:36 at his very best, doesn't get that right, just sort of got the pole, planted it, and it just wasn't going to happen. So conserved energy, and he'll go again. He'll take that feedback into his next jump. It's 5:46 that bar at. That's his first time failure there.
So back to the high jump and back to Thomas Carmoy now at 2:21 here, approaching and over very nicely, and he loves that, and he feeds off the energy of the crowd in Liège. Terrific to see from Carmoy. And we were talking about Amos being 6'5". You know, no offense to Thomas Carmoy, but maybe I can use it as a compliment. He's not one of the tallest jumpers, and you can see he has great spring there, launches his way over, and maybe benefits from having that slightly shorter frame, only slightly, and that helps him just pull it over quicker.
Yeah, you did right. Yeah, there's all different shapes and sizes in track and field, and that's why we love it, don't we? And you've got to use it to your strength. You really have. Well, there we are, Kravchenko then. Looks to psych himself up. Vladislav Mylikin, I do apologise. He goes 5:70 lifetime best for Vladislav. Terrific vault up. this should be within him. I mean, he struggled at 5.26. This is 5.36 now, just at 10-centimeter increment. And what can he do? Looks to be, I was going to say looks to be comfortably over that one, but just came down it. Height looks there, but just didn't have the reach, did he? So, again, he's someone who will just rethink that and potentially rethink where he's going to position those bars. It looked a sure thing at that stage, Alex.
Yeah, well, you can see that on the way up, he is just losing momentum a little bit, and it's difficult in that situation because you kind of rely on the speed that you built up on the runway quite a few seconds before, and then just to kind of channel that energy and transfer it all the way through the vault.
Well, how about this man named Ben Broders? This is who the crowd have come in for. They've been waiting to see him all evening. Well, he's number 8 in the world right now on those world ranking points. 13th in Rome at those European Championships. Again, that would have been a disappointing performance for him. He was the victor here 12 months ago as well. He put pretty modest, 5.45 actually. So I wonder if we're going to see something higher than that time. We've got the men to do it, Alex, but I've got a few of them struggling. It doesn't look to be clicking too much.
Yeah, well, it looked like Raphael Holtstepper came in at 5.26 and had 3 failures. So, yeah, Broders coming in now. We've got those few men who we've seen fail at this height. And I think one other who might not have come in, who hasn't got a mark next to him, Dominic Alberto of Switzerland. So quite a small field now out there.
It is, and they won't mind that. A quick turnaround for these athletes. You know, they can get in a groove. They also don't have to waste too much energy. They can probably decide on what bar's going to go next as well. Oh, comfortable. Well, it needed a man to sort of take this competition by the scruff of the neck, drive it on. Broders doing just that down there on the back straight.
Yeah, he's waited quite a while, of course, to come in at this particular height, but certainly no problem at all in execution once he's done so. Beautiful amount of height, very much in control throughout, as we can see there, really clean trajectory.
No doubt about it at all, is it? So I know the bar's at 5.46. I'll be interested to see where it goes next. A few of these men have the capability of clearing this height, but whether or not they do or not, it might just be down to Broders after this height. We shall see. Alex, over to you. It looks like the women's 300-meter final is getting set to go.
Yeah, the drum rolls are out. The is that a lion, do we think?
Certainly looks that way, yep.
No, I certainly got in trouble for animalizing mascot animals, if that's even a word. Anyway, Elisa Lechleitninger, 24-year-old mixed relay finalist, World Championships last year. Then this is De Silva of Brazil. But as you can see, the poster woman of these championships, it's Cynthia Belingo inception everywhere. National record holder over 400 meters, which was set when she was 5th at the World Championships last year, breaking 50 seconds at 49.96. But also, as Matt was saying, the record holder over 300, rarely run 300, 36.47. This is Helena Ponnet, who, along with Belingo, was a bronze medalist in the 4x4 relay at the European Championships just gone. Just missing out in the mixed relay because Femke Bol was right on her tail. Nicole Jürgen, recent big season's best, 51.3 in Sollentuna in Sweden, and I saw her post on her story that next up was Belgium for 300 metres. And so a few days later, here we are. Of course, she has plenty of 4x4 medals, Commonwealths, Europeans and Worlds. On to Tabita Iturino of Brazil, 55.29 400 metre personal best, and 2:05 over 800. So we kind of do see a range of 400 and 200 athletes naturally over this distance. Audrey Motta of Belgium with a 41.07 PB over 300. So certainly a chance to go close to sub 40 seconds for the first time for her. Again, similar personal best of a 400 of 55.81 to Vitorino. Well, I guess, Matt, that eyes will be on Belingo to break her own national record more than anything.
Well, indeed. How about that for pressure, hey? The hometown crowd out here. Will you want to do so? But I think she can take confidence in the fact she's done it before. And she's just, you know, the context is exactly the same. Her lifetime best just happens to be a national record. So she just needs to think of it like that. And I'm sure she can get the job done.
Yeah, I'm sure she can. There's Morta on the outside. Vitorino, the first of the Brazilians. Jürgen, her PB is 36.8. By the way, over this distance. Then Bolingo, who's 1 second off the European best that's been held by Irina Plivalova since 1993. And just out of interest, because it's interesting to know, Shoni Miliwibo, the world best holder, 34.41, extraordinary. But if anyone's going to do a 300 world best, it's probably going to be Shoni, given her excellent 200, 400 crossover talent. British record, by the way, 35.46. Kathy Cook, 1984. So Lechleitner, De Silva, Bolingo, Panette, Jürgen, Vitorino, and Morta in this rarely run women's 300 meters. So Bolingo strong from the getaway then. Making up ground on Panette and trying to go past her international teammate. As we were saying, this is the sort of distance athletes might do in training rather than in competition. So in some sense, not that unusual. Jürgen also going nicely, 2 outside Bolingo. And it's these three, Jürgen, Panette, Bolingo, fighting for the victory here in this race. And Panette coming through nicely. Jürgen on her outside, now with a gap to her opponents. Let's have a look at the clock. 36.7. So looks to have shaved a fraction off her personal best here. And another confidence boost, Matt, after that good time in Sweden over 400.
Well, absolutely. She's building form at the right time, going into those national championships in a few weeks. And you know, I was going to say beforehand, it's going to be interesting to see how people execute this race. Do they treat it like a 400 and just say, it's 100 meters less, I might be a little bit fresher, less fatigued at the end, or do you really attack it like 200? Looking at Jürgen there, she ran that like a 400 meter race. She was quite controlled around that top bend, and she really came strong in the home straight there. I think that was a fairly relaxed performance for her.
Well, isn't it just a 400 meters without the pain?
You could say that.
Yeah, and I think that's one reason why athletes do, well, one of many reasons why athletes will do 300 reps potentially as part of their training routine. But Jürgen, yes, it's an incredibly stacked British women's 400 meter contingent, and even making the relay squad for the Olympic Games is going to be tough. They've got the Nielsen sisters, Amber Anning, Victoria Hurugu, and others. Even that's going to be a challenge.
I think that's well, she will be on that relay team. Thomas van Nuffelen. Oh, and again, just struggling there. And just hasn't clicked for him. And I mentioned 5.46 almost being the cursed height, to be honest with you. And, well, Van der Velen proving that for himself. And, well, yeah, Kravchenko will have to give it another stab. He's on his third attempt as well. He'll be next to Volt. But 2 men have gone clear. So Sawa and Ben Broders as well. So we've got 2 past 5.46, and it's over to the high jump as well. Oh!
Yeah, so Thomas Carmoy here. I believe this is the new height of 2 meters 27. And looks to me like Armel Satile, Vermeiden Maloney have all gone out at 2:21, 3 failures there. So yes, some rather identical cards that we've had, because all those 4 athletes I just mentioned also cleared third time 2:18.
So the men's high jump could be over very shortly indeed. It's Carmoy, the last man left in it.
En tous les cas, vous êtes parti comme une balle, comme si c'était un 200. Après 54, vous aviez déjà
too dissimilar from this pole vault as well. Singo Sawa, then the Japanese athlete. What can he do? Oh, that was his clearance there. At 5.46, pretty happy with that as he's building now towards his lifetime best as well. Is Sawa just the skin of his vest, isn't it? The width of his vest there. He's over that bar, and you don't need to do any more than that. He'll look to use a different pole, suspect a bigger pole for that next attempt at 5.56. And I think there might be a little bit of cat and mouse between him and Ben Broders, deciding where to go. Will Broders skip a height? That'll be my question. Save his energy to really attack. We look forward to that kind of meeting record as well for him, and potentially even a lifetime best of 585.
Si vous deviez ajouter une épreuve au programme olympique, ce serait le 300.
Yeah, really good clearance there from Sawa, because you can see that his feet were kind of just leaning in towards that bar, and he did very well to make sure that they avoided it.
Bon, si on devient président du CIO, on fera ça pour vous. Merci Cynthia.
He did do well. Short break for him now, as we just heard from Ingo, then hometown favourite at this meeting. Wasn't quite the national record she was looking for, as the women's long jump also getting underway.
Yes, this is Tamisha Clark, one of 2 Australians in this. Personal best of 6:49. This is the first long jump action that I think we've seen tonight. Ready there on the runway though. You can see all those markers that have been used by the athletes just to set where they want their run to be, to start from. So Clark raring to go, driving down this runway, then building up the speed. Looks for perfect foot placement and tries to hang in the air. Drops down around 6.5 meters, but difficult to tell from the angle that we saw. There we go, bit of space between her foot and the board. Let's see what kind of distance this will be, just coming up. 5:82 in fact, so yeah, it can sometimes be misleading, can't it, just to go by visual sight. Back to the high jump though, Matt.
All eyes will come on in. Can he go there at this height? We mentioned it, a lot of men struggling at 221. He's up at 227. He is, well, the only man left in this competition. Oh, okay, well, it was a big step from 21. He just got over that, didn't he, Alex? But he's got one more attempt in at 227. I hope he can get over it for the sake of this crowd who are rather enjoying themselves down there.
Yeah, it's been a strange kind of trajectory to this competition to have everyone in at 218, and then suddenly one height later, only Thomas Kamoy left jumping.
Well, it looks like we are ready to introduce this women's 100 meter field as well. This could well be, there you are, Alexandra Mortandin of Belgium, the 19-year-old. She's the Belgian University champion and the under-20 champion as well. What could she do being introduced on an international stage here in Liège? It's a very exciting prospect. We talk about 4x1 teams, 4x4 teams. Can you get on them as well? Well, Elise Mehudin, 6th at those European Championships in the 4x1. She's on that team in 2022 as well, when it was in Munich back then. Melissa Gutsmit, world under-20 bronze medalist from 2021. That's one of her recent championship performances. Big time performer is Gutsmit. Also bronze at those under-23 European Championships then. Patricia van der Weken then, World University Games champion. Most recently in 2023, 11:22 she ran there, lifetime best of 11:10. And Rani Rosidin, semi-finalist at the World Championships in Budapest. Great to be there, but now she'll want to go to the Olympics and see what she can do. Can't shake that final, ever so tough, isn't it? Maria Ignacia Moss, 5 times your national champion. Enjoying herself here, 11:38, her lifetime best as well. Marine Jahaisdin, the Belgium under-23 indoor champion. First in Houston last Saturday. That's interesting. I always look for season best performances and most recent performances as well. That's a telling sign how an athlete's form is. Form book is everything in this sport, as we know. And interestingly, in Houston, Alex, she ran 11:31, which was a massive lifetime best, but was with a plus 4.6 wind reading. So she will be grateful that we haven't got those sort of wind readings today.
Yeah, very much so. Sounds quite familiar in the northwest of England, where I'm right now, to have those sorts of wind readings.
Absolutely, and that women's Olympic stand 11:07, and it's a standard which is perhaps well, I don't want to say never, but beyond a few of these women, it'd be great to see something around that mark. 100-meter sprinting, just taken to new heights, like so many events have. Really, you know, we saw those standards be announced and a few years ago, but they've almost been met in every single discipline heading into Paris. And what are we, just sort of 3 weeks away from that deadline now? Come on, final attempt then.
Well, in the background, you can see Tia Hellebo coaching in the 2008 Olympic champion and Belgian athletics royalty, Carmoy. Unfortunately, bar comes down once again. So I wonder whether it's difficult then having the stage to yourself and having the pressure to yourself. You know, a young athlete like Thomas Carmoy, obviously you'd hope to thrive off it, but maybe just being alone on that stage can put the spotlight on you as well.
I think it can. I think when you know you've won the competition as well, I think that takes the edge off it a little bit. A lot of athletes, you know, winning will be their priority, and sort of height distances and times will be second to that. And he won quite comfortably in the end, and I think you would have hoped for a bit of a battle, especially with the likes of Cecilia and stuff here today. But promising performance from him. He'll turn his attention to that Belgian National Championship. So then, Motant on the inside, 11.68 her lifetime best. Elise Meet there as well, next to her. Schmidt, Van der Weyken, Rani Rossi, another Belgian, Ignatia Mons there. Chile, she's their 5 times national champion, and Marine Jahai on the outside, also 11.55. So it's Van der Weyken, who is perhaps one of the strongest athletes in this field. 11.00, a lifetime best. A Luxembourg athlete, World University Games champion, 7th of those World Indoors in Glasgow as well, over 60 most recently. That shows to us that she's going to have a good start here as well. She carry that form into the summer season. Everyone wants that ticket to the big dance in a few weeks' time. Everyone wants to be in Paris, but this is the first hurdle for a lot of these women as well. Goodsmith gets a good start, but Van der Weyken, look at this, the height, the knee lift from her to tear down this field this evening here in Liège. 11.1, and that's impressive. She'll be very, very happy with that if it is official, because that will be a good indication of where she's at. I know she's run 11 flat already this year. If it's 11.1, that's just solid. It's consistent. And consistency, Alex, is what you need going in championship season.
Oh, it's extraordinary. And Van der Weyken just keeps on breaking her national record again and again. And she's been so humble about it too. But yeah, making that World Indoor final and then being so close to a European medal. Only would have been Luxembourg's second ever European medal in Rome. Beating the likes of Kambunji and Lukenkemper was extraordinary, and this race just kind of set up well for her. Really impressive, as you say, just kind of gone out well, drove hard and didn't look back. And I'm sure now the target for her is to go sub 11. She had a little look over at the clock and maybe would have hoped that the time would have been faster given the decent margin of victory, but still really impressive from Van der Weyken, certainly making her country very proud.
She is indeed, and she's putting sprinting on that for Luxembourg. How often do we see a sprinter from that nation? And look, time and time again, we saw likes of Femke Bol, what she's done to 400-meter running and 400-meter hurdling in the Netherlands. And look, I think we're going to see similar with Van der Weyken, because she's seen shockwaves through Luxembourg, and the way she runs is picturesque, isn't it? That huge stride, that huge knee lift as well, just covers the ground so well.
Absolutely does, yeah. Another Luxembourg athlete I think we're going to see later is Charles Greffin in the 1500, but now it's time for another really run distance, the 600 metres. And here are the set of athletes. So Ludo van Neuvenhausen, the Dutchman. So again, we'll kind of see a crossover of 400 and 800 runners, as you might expect. Salih Tekşöz of Turkey, 1:18.08 at best. Quite a decent meeting record of 1:13.49 set here back in 2002 by Kenyan Joseph Mutua. And a couple of Kenyans in this. Ferguson Rotich, the Olympic silver medalist over 800, now 34 years of age. This is First of the Belgians, Peter Sisk, actually has the national record over 1,000 metres, set in Ghent in February 2:17.17, and his teammate Elliot Crestan, certainly a rising star within European middle distance running, reigning European indoor and world indoor bronze medalist over 800. And another young talent, 23 years of age, is Daniel Huller. He was European under-18 champion 6 years ago, so that was on home soil in Jor in Hungary. And then Rick van Riel, European under-20 1500 metre silver medalist. So getting a side of the next generation for sure. And here we have Sami Masoud Al-Yami from Saudi Arabia. So he's the Saudi indoor record over 800 metres, which really you have to use the 2 laps as a kind of a marker for achievements, naturally. And Collins Kipruto then, the 30-year-old, set his personal best here last year, 1:16.03. So, yeah, an extraordinary meeting record of 1:13.49. I mean, no one in this field has run really within best part of 2 seconds of that. The world lead this year, actually easier to aim for, of 1:14.03, set by Brandon Miller of the USA in February. And yeah, you fairly often see 600 races indoors. I remember last year, I think it was, Kitty Hodgkinson set a world best, which was indoors in Manchester. So what else? The Belgian national record, one to look out for. It was held by Cynthia Bolingo in the 300, but this one goes further back, actually, for the men in the 600 metres. It's 1:15.35, Juri Janssen back in 2002. The European best is held by Pierre-Ambroise Boss, who of course was a world champion in London in 2017 over the 2 laps, and that's 1:13.21. David Rudisha's actually second all time. And yes, fascinating. So let's have a look at how this race might pan out. Van Neuvenhuizen, Tekschos, Rotic, Sisk, Crestan, Huller, Masoud Al-Yami, Van Riel and Kipruto. So 2 quite experienced Kenyans in this. Kipruto, you can see there on the outside, initially with the stagger, and now coming to the inside. And you've got Sisk there right on his shoulder with just enough space to hang on to that line. Crestan always seems to find himself in sensible, in decent positions which to attack, which we've seen time and time again, not least in Glasgow at the World Indoor Championships. So these 3 now coming towards the line. Let's have a look as Crestan does attack into this top bend. Oh, and the bit of a coming together there. Just fighting for space. I think it was Rotic just pushing his teammate out the way, having initially paced. Crestan from Sisk. So now a Belgian 1-2 ahead of Tekschos in second place, who's never broken 1:18 before over this distance. So coming through in 1:14.4, Elliot Crestan taking some 3 seconds off his lifetime best, and also taking the Belgian record by some margin. So, well, we were saying that Crestan just seems to be someone with good racing nous, a good tactician, and it worked very nicely there for him, Matt.
Well, he smashed it, hasn't he? And that cut together, I felt awfully sorry for Fergus Rotic. A man of his experience would have been very frustrated. The pacer just stops up there in lane 1. Ruins Rotic's race. To be honest, all those in behind him as well. At that point, it looked like it was going to be Crestan and Sisk, like you said. But oh my goodness, Elliot Crestan ran that like a 400 and just maintained it through in sort of 49. He is looking in great shape. We know he ran well at those European Championships as well, and what he's done this season indoors. But yeah, to go out there and break that national record, which has stood since 2002, he'll be awfully proud. and we'll get those official results shortly. But well, he's the star of Belgium at the moment, Crestan.
Yeah, fantastic from Elliot Crestan, and well, he was helped that there weren't too many challenges behind at that point, but still made the most of it and pushed all the way down the home straight. Hope to get official confirmation of that, but it could actually put him second in Europe all time behind that European best of Boss that I mentioned, even though he's 1.2 seconds off it, because second on the European all-time list was Adam Cachot with 1:14.55. Of course, another European middle distance legend that was set in 2009. So yeah, certainly a rarely run distance, but a bit of history being made as we see the long jump. Oh, only for a short while because we've gone back to the pole vault now, Matt.
Yeah, back to this pole vault competition. Like I was saying, Vladislav Mayikin is the man who is set to go, and 5:70 his lifetime best, cleared at 5:56. Interestingly, Broders did pass. I thought he might pass at 5:56. We'll expect to see him now at 5:66, but Vladislav will attempt this height first. Broders will be next, unless he wants to pass again and risk coming second in this competition. But Vladislav jumping very, very well. Oh, okay. It looks promising. Well, for first attempt at 5:66, I think you're pretty happy with that.
Merci Thomas. Bonne continuation.
And that was, we saw just a quick flash there of the women's 800 meters. They're on the start line getting ready to go. That'll be the next track event due off in a few moments' time. Here's the lineup then. Anita Henriksdottir, we talk about youth talent. She took the world by storm, didn't she? At junior level, she was a world under-18 champion, European under-20 champion as well. More on her in a moment. She still hasn't broken 2 minutes from the outside in then. Nina Vukovic of Croatia only made the heats at those European championships, unfortunately knocked out from there. Rahal Ali of France as well. Look at her, 4x4 regular. She's got great speed. Fourth in Nice last weekend, 1:59.5. Winnie Nanyondo then. Well, the Ugandan, 4:06 over 1500, her season's best so far. Hasn't run an 800 yet, believe it or not. There's her preferred distance. 7th at those Tokyo Olympic Games over the 800 as well. 4th at the World Championships. Of course, she's the national record holder of Uganda. Well, Anile Nissen, 8th at those World Under-20 Championships over 800 as well. And look, Brege Sluts and Vanessa Skone were Shillings. Was he up together? 4th in Houston was Skinne. Season's best at that Irish mile is meeting 2:2. She ran there. And well, Baliva there as well. 2nd of those Belgium indoor championships. And there's Henriksdottir. I mentioned had still her personal best, 2 minutes 05 seconds. That was set back in 2017, so 7 years ago now. And believe it or not, she ran 2 minutes as well, I think in 2015. And that was kind of, we never want to say it was an athlete's peak, but she really was an exceptional young talent. But the one to look out for then, Agnes Maholarali of France. Knocked out in the heats in Budapest. Lifetime best Budapest, that was last year in 2023, and a lifetime best from 2022. She comes into this in fine form though. She's right on that 2-minute barrier, and with these conditions she'll look to attack it. What Elliot Crestan just did, that's got to inspire a few of these. The conditions here, by the way, have been fantastic. Time and time again we've seen lifetime best this evening. I think it might even be 6 for 6 on the track. So who's going to take the early running? Let's hope we don't see a pacemaker mix up. Ben Broders in. The Belgium star, 5:56. Oh, I think the bar 5:66 actually. Not happening for him as we get back to this race. And we see Sula Saka up front. She's the athlete from Benin, and she's the pacemaker. 200, 400 meter runner. She sees she's going to get them to 400 quite comfortably. Really, 54-second 400 runner as well. Vukovic though looks to be doing the one behind at the moment, Alex.
Yeah, it's a tight race this, and similar to what we saw with the 600 metres, it could come down to a final finish towards the closing stages.
It's out of the building. 58.7. That is very, very strong running for these women. They're going to need to relax a little bit down back straight, gather themselves, and usually with that sort of time, you're seeing the field really break up. Questions being asked of athletes, but you know what? Rahalarali on the outside in the orange and white strip of the On Athletic Club. The French athlete looks comfortable and she's going to go to the front. I want her to do that. I want her to just push on and drive from this moment. When you make a decisive move in 800, you've only got one. You can't look back. And Rahalarali going to do just that. Vukovic settling in behind, second place, and that gap's just opening. It's surprisingly, Winnie Nanyondo of Uganda is struggling, an athlete with a 1:58 lifetime best. The Tokyo Olympian, a finalist there, is not going to be able to live with these two women. It's all eyes on Agnes Rahalarali of France. Looks comfortable out front. Vukovic isn't going to be able to stun her on the home straight. Watch the clock now. 1:59.59. Her lifetime best going to be just outside a consistent 2:01.40 clocking. That's unofficially, of course. And we will look ahead to see what that comes in at. But a win for her, and that's the biggest thing against a pretty strong field, Alex.
Absolutely, and to be honest, I know we talk a lot about times and qualification, but really it's just as important, obviously in the 800 metres and middle distance, to really learn your racecraft and get race sharp before events like the Paris Olympic Games, if indeed you're able to make it there. And otherwise you might find it difficult to actually get through those rounds. But Rahalarali looked determined, looked pretty confident all the way through, and impressive. She held on towards the finish, as you said. She was decisive, and she had enough in the closing stages.
Yeah, Rahalarali. I think as well, you mentioned championship rounds as well, but also that French championships, because if she wants a spot on that French team, she's going to have to go some. We know what type of speed and performances they're pushing out at the moment, French athletics in general. And there's a lot of excitement building towards Paris, and rightly so, Alex, because I think that French team have gone up a whole new level, haven't they?
Well, they had a great championships at the Europeans, and it was led by what just seemed to be huge amounts of confidence. I noticed particularly in the heptathlon and decathlon, getting medals for Oriana Lazrat class set a huge personal best. And to be honest, I think she set personal best in 6 out of 7 events. And then Macken Songletti did quite similar in the decathlon, sort of coming through all manner of chaos along the way, as is often the case in the decathlon. And then, of course, you had the world-leading time and championship record in the sprint hurdles for Sirena Sambamayela. You had Gabriel Tual looking good in the 800, this event in particular. So, yeah, lots of confidence in the French team, which followed some hiccups kind of on the way in. From a sort of entering athlete's point of view, and Kevin Meyer having to be a wild card and all sorts of confusion, as we see here the Ukrainian athlete just bringing the bar down in the pole vault.
Yeah, that was Vladislav Malikin of Ukraine, so that's 2 failures at 5.66. Ben Broder's also a failure at 5.66. And Singo crashed out at 5.56. So 2 men left in that pole vault competition. Ukrainian athlete Vladislav Malikin and Ben Broders as well as the women's long jump. Alex, you may want to update us there.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see Crestan being interviewed by Belgian television. So at the moment we are in the second round of the women's long jump. So just having a look here and seeing that Marisa Lazzolo, if you like, the favourite coming into the competition, has a best so far of 6.43 from the second round, and in second place at the moment her international teammate Marlin Stavanov with 6.27, and then third place is Elizabeth Heading of Australia, 6.05. That's the way that it is as things stand.
Crowd getting behind Ben Broders. They're going to need to. Questions being asked of him now. Ranked 8th in the world, this young man, his European Championships didn't go to plan. However, that might be the best thing for him. It's refocused him. He knows he can't take anything for granted in this sport. He knows he's going to have to be at his best in Paris. Well, Broders, oh! I would say he was over that, Alex. He was over it. He's got one more attempt. But for me, he looked like he had that.
Well, let's have another look, because he's in that Thomas Carmoy situation, isn't he, where the crowd really has that spotlight on him. Oh. Well, yes, it was close in the end. He gave it a real brushing, brought the bar off, unfortunately, but other than that, yes, he wasn't quite in control the same way that I mentioned that he was when he previously went over at the last height. So, yeah, something to work on there for Broders. I'm sure he'll have every confidence that he can do just that. Right, well, we've seen a 300, we've seen a 600, and now we're going to distances that we more regularly see run, like 800 and this one, 15. That's why our athletes on this far side of the track, ready for 3 3/4 laps. We've got another Irish talent on the outside, having already seen Chris O'Donnell in the 400. That's Cian McPhillips, a European under-20 champion 3 years ago. That was a real kind of rising onto the scene moment for him. There's Jesse Hunt of Australia, personal best in Sydney in February of 3:33.64. Debjani, well, he is the Belgian record holder, was a finalist at the European Indoors last year in Istanbul, where he was 7th, 3:36.03 at best. Here. So, who else is in this field? We've got Mark Tortel, German, who improved in Karlsruhe this year to 3:36.98. A 3:35 athlete is El Hassan Mujahid of Morocco. A young Spanish talent, Paul Moya. And Charles Simotwa of Kenya, All-African Games bronze medalist back in 2015. Flavien Schott of France, I saw him the other day. Marseille, his personal best last month, 3:35.90. So he's made a 2-second improvement this year. So just like the 800 meters, we're going to see the pack sitting in behind the pacemaker in the early stages here, Matt.
Right, Neil, what's that through 456.0? I'm keeping an eye on Jesse Hunt, the Australian, because he's another athlete who's had a huge improvement this year, but he did go out hot in Nice, a few days ago now, and he was right on the tail of Cam Myers, and he just seemed to suffer. So this is a large field, Alex, and we got 17, 18 men in this, but thankfully they are single file. We haven't seen dramas of the 1500 like we saw at the European Champs, a lot of pushing and shoving as Buda goes in the long jump.
Yeah, Levi Buda, the young German, so 6:04 in the opening round then. Personal best 6:47, you can see there foul in this third round, just like she did in the second round.
Malikin then of Ukraine, Vladislav Malikin. What can he do? Bar at 5:56.66. Oh, okay. Oh, he's lucky not to land down in between the crash mats there. He quickly turned back to this men's 1500. It's Kiprugat, Charles Simotwa, and these two won. I guess. What can they do over this final 600?
Yes, Kiprugut leading the way at the moment. Simotwa just behind him, and actually on personal best, Charles Simotwa is 4 seconds faster, 3:30.30 his PB. So will he go on the attack in the closing stages here? And you can see quite a big gap that they've opened up. Real pack, almost a peloton, you might say, encircling behind them. Kiprugut and Simotwa. So Simotwa, in fact, yeah, second pacemaker in this race. So he's now out there in front, all on his own. Much bigger gap than we saw, for example, in the 800 meters. But they are working very hard now to close that gap indeed. 300 to go. Now trying to motor down this back straight. Simotwa, eyes only in front, I'm sure. Paul Moya in that Barcelona vest. You can see one of those chasing behind with Senard and Hunt, we mentioned earlier in the race. So El Mujahid as well in the blue vest here. It looks like trying to overtake and come past Simotwa. Surely they're going to do that now. Beautiful drone shots that we've got from above the athletes. 4 closing in on the final stages here. Mujahid and Simotwa fighting now. Moya trying to come past it as well. Almighty battle over second place. And there we have Moya behind Mujahid, who takes victory. 3:36.4 on the clock. And really strong tactical race there. On this occasion, it's half second outside his personal best. but very impressive from Mujahid, beating a number of faster athletes here, Matt.
Has indeed, and he's just executed it much better for me. And look, I think we're seeing it time and time again on the circuit, especially. People are just going through so much quicker. I think everyone considers themselves as a low 330 man now, and rightly so. They run the times, but to do that consistently is a different ball game, really. And I think a lot of these men just struggling. It's an interesting time this season as well, Alex, because I think you've had your initial few races. Most athletes will go to altitude. They'll be at a training camp for sort of 6 weeks prior to their season commencing. They'll then get 3 or 4 races under their belt. They'll come out and run a strong season's best, like we've seen from Olympic athletes like Paul Moyer, Simotwo, athletes like that. But then I think now, just that they've raced a lot, and perhaps they just need to go away and freshen up and get ready for their national championship. I think we saw that today. A few heavy legs out there already in the season.
I just wondered whether someone was on FaceTime there as soon as he finished the race. Someone appeared to be, maybe it was his coach back in Morocco or something like that. Anyway, Broder's in the pole vault here. Let's have a look. Oh, he does make it over this time in front of the home crowd. Terrific for Broders, and I'm sure he wants to see bigger heights. Again, similar to the Japanese athlete Sawa, you can see the feet closely angled in towards that bar, but manages to sort everything out and stay in that all-important control that we've been speaking about.
Yes, third time clearance for him, and that could well be a winning jump as well for Broders. Very strong indeed. Well, women's long jump still getting underway as well, Alex, and the women's 5,000 will be next on the track for those of you waiting for that.
Yeah, so we remain in the third round of the women's long jump competition. There's been no change, certainly as far as the top 3 that I read out previously go. Luzolo from Stavanov from Heading, and this is Malin Stavanov then, the German. 6:27 personal best so far in this competition, compares to outright lifetime best of 6:57.
Évidemment motivé, vous avez envie, mais ça ne sort pas.
2 athletes so far with all her jumps over 6 meters to this point.
C'est mon premier indécent. Malheureusement, je pense que
6 meters and 6 has come up, so she remains with that record. Then all 3 jumps over 6 meters, but short as ever, wanting better distance. Plenty more space there that she could have made up on that board with foot placements. Gets up high,
qui est très touché évidemment, qui prend conscience
comes down very similar to that first jump of 6:07. This is Luzolo, our event leader, and that leads 16 centimeters, 6:43 her best from the second round.
Germans, Alex, just so strong. Pretty much every field event there is, isn't it? And the depth they've got in the women's long jump right now, and could be in a position where we have multiple of them in that final in Paris as well.
Yeah, and they didn't have the greatest championships, it has to be said, in Rome. I think coming into the final day, they were set for the lowest ever medal tally, but made that up on the final night, as can happen for many nations and many a time. So Luzolo, you can see there, around 6:40. I'm very cautious around reading the distance of the board, as happened to be previous, but yeah, certainly this is an athlete. Both jumps over 6:30 so far. You see, actually, really nice picturesque setting, isn't it, here in Liège? Better on the board. 6:25 for Luzolo. You can see, does really well to just hang in the air for as long as possible there.
It is a fantastic setting here, you're right, in Liège, and I think conditions are near perfect. We've seen some superb sprint times, Alex, some massive lifetime bests on the sprints and the hurdles, but the distance races just falling behind a little bit potentially. And I mentioned that kind of mid-season hump that a few athletes are in. They're at this stage as well where I think the pressure's on. They're chasing a little bit. You know, they've already got a few standards, a few time under their belt, and now they're just looking at it and they just want to see how much can I get out of myself before having to go back to my national championships. And there's some lucky athletes here who would have already had their national championships. We've got Izzy Bat-Doyle, the Australian, broke 15 minutes for the first time earlier this year. But how about this, lady? Oh, Elamayu of Ethiopia. And there's Yavi as well, the 3,000 meter steeplechase defending world champion in Budapest. Ninth at the pre-classic in 9:21. She rolls the dice over 5,000 tonight. Bat-Doyle there, made her. The Australians 15 back in February, 43rd at those at the World Championships over the marathon in Budapest. Awfully hot conditions, and now finds herself performing better than ever over 5,000 meters. Almost had herself down as a marathon runner. Ruiz as well. She's had a pretty good Europe season so far. Often known as a cross-country runner, 13th at the European Cross-Country Championships. Ruiz. So then the women's 5,000 gets underway. All eyes for me on Marta Amaya Walterje of Ethiopia. She's the youngest ever champion of the World Under-20 Cross Country Championships. She dominated out there at just 15 years old. And Ethiopia went on to win the team title, as you'd expect that day as well. 15:14. She ran that up at altitude. That's her only performance this year so far.
Well, it's a real mix of nationalities in this. You've got right across Europe represented, as well as North, East, Central Africa and Australia. So yeah, fascinating mix, and possibly some athletes who aren't used to racing each other across the circuit. Of course, there are many who kind of day-to-day seem to turn up at the same races and have that kind of synchronized schedule. But yeah, fascinated, because we also have some kind of Kenyan names that we haven't maybe seen at their best for a few years as well, and we'll see whether they can bring it here.
I think you're right with that. Uganda's in here as well. Looking at Esther Chebet. She was fresh off a win in Italy the other night, 50 flat over 5,000. She ran there, Tokyo Olympian for Uganda. She comes in fine form. We're already starting to see that breakaway group, aren't we? And yeah, you mentioned it's an interesting point this season. I think many have got a few races under their belt, and they're either back up, doing another training stint before trying to get through their negotiate their national championships. But for a lot of these women, they're sure of their Paris spot. Particularly, you're looking at someone like Yavi. She Bahrain. She'll be in Paris competing in that 3,000 meter steeplechase as well. So a few of them, this is just a good run out. She's mixing it up. She's running over distance here, 5,000 and 3,000 meters steeplechase, Alex. Often, I guess, compared to like similar events, training's very similar, bar the fact that obviously you'll do a lot more technical work for the 3,000 steeplechase, but the weekly volumes, the interval sessions and stuff will be fairly similar to what you'd expect from a 5,000 meter runner. As we turn our attention in to Broders. What can he do? Where is the bar now? About to find out. It's going to stick to what we think it was. We expect it to be at 576. However, with the competition one, I wouldn't mind betting that he's going to go straight to 586 to try and jump a lifetime best. That lifetime best of 585. Get a bit of revenge after that disappointing European Championships. This man is inside the top 10 in the world. He's one of the big hitters in pole vaulting. Here he's putting on display. He won 12 months ago. He's going to win it tonight as well. But how high? Well, that was a very, very modest attempt, to say the least, wasn't it, Alex?
Yeah, unfortunate for Broders. And yeah, we talk about some of the pressure was off, as we said, with the high jumpers. Carmoy, spotlight is on you, and it can be difficult on that occasion. Fatigue shouldn't really be an element, though. Obviously, he only came in at 5:46.
I think as well, yeah, similar to Carmoy. I just think when you've won the competition, yep, you mentioned motivation can be a bit of a problem for him. But this is great images we've got of this women's leading, what, 6 in this 5,000, 253 through that first kilometre. So they'll be ticking off the laps. We've already stacked first pacemaker Vermeulen, and she got them to a kilometre. Hopefully, second pacemaker up front there can get them to sort of at least 2.5k, at least halfway in this one, just to get things moving. Because I fear, again, at this stage in the season, with not too much to prove for a lot of these women, it might get a little bit tactical late on. That pack in second there might just move themselves up.
Well, Helen Vermeulen was the first pacemaker, and already out of the race, and Purity Chepkurui, it is the second pacemaker now up front, and you can see there, as I say, she's got that lead group of 5. Looks like Mutili Yavi in a very good position just inside this lead group. I think Chepkoech is also in this as well.
Well, to give you a bit of context on that 253 kilometre split, 250s would bring them round at 14:10 for 5,000, which is just astonishing. The 253, you're looking at anything around about that 14:20, 14:25 mark, which for a lot of these women would be massive lifetime best. We know they've got it in them. Their credentials say they can handle that speed, but I expect it just to slow up a little bit. It's worth mentioning as well, Alex, that Paris Olympic qualification standard, 14:52 dead for these women. Certainly a few a little bit further back, looking at Natalia Rial of Roulette, Australia as well. She'll be looking at that. And Izzy Bat-Doyle as well, because come close already. They're sort of 15 back, just inside runners already to 14:52. Conditions look perfect, look like they can get amongst it. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be a bit of a war zone over these final few kilometres, I feel already, Alex, because things are starting to break up. And look, we just see this talented Ethiopian, Maya Walterje, just ease away past Yavi. She's on the pacemaker's heels. I think she wants to get things moving already. We haven't got much on her this season at all, bar that fantastic, that emphatic World Cross Country victory in the under-20 category. But she's looking around it. She's going to be on her own for the next, 7.5 laps, 3,000 metres to run.
Yeah, fascinating the way this race is now spreading out. 3 athletes at the front, led by Welteji. Yavi right on her shoulder then, and just feel they might just hold station now until that kind of crucial stage, crucial last couple of kilometres. Then we'll see who's the more tired, who's got the most left, and who might make a move late in the race.
Yeah, and it's Samaya Hassan Noor of Djibouti, the national record holder there, over the 5 and the 10,000. She sits in 3rd place at the moment. She was 6th at that Guden Spike meeting a few weeks ago. 15:01 there for the national record. And, well, I say a few weeks ago, about a month or so ago. And she's keep good company here if she can hang with these women. But we are seeing something special, ladies and gentlemen. This is a name that I think people are going to get sick of hearing over the next few years as well. 15 years old. I mean, could this be the next Olympic cycle, Alex? She's still going to be an under 20.
That's quite ridiculous. I wonder what sort of age she might actually peak at as we see Broders here, Matt.
Yeah, Broders then failed out that first attempt at 5:86. What can he do? Attempt number 2 at this height. Oh, well, very similar, wasn't it? It just doesn't look to be. A little bit of acrobatics there from him on the way down.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be frustrating for him, but doesn't look like today will be the day to clear this height.
No, it didn't. I'm just going to keep an eye on this women's 3,000 set. That's going to flash up in just over a lap's time, 500 metres or so's time. And look, Amara Welteji finds herself up at the front. She knows no different, to be honest with you. The Ethiopia that's winning that World Cross Country title, pushing on from the front in dominant fashion. But Yavi's in a very experienced competitor, world champion over that 3,000 metres, which is more importantly, she's been on the circuit, Alex. She's done the rounds at the highest level, and she knows how these races tend to play out. And she's looking awfully relaxed in 2nd place. And just wondering, we're seeing Izzy Bat-Doyle try to bridge that gap to this lead trio up front. And I'm just wondering if the pace is slowing. The 2nd kilometre, they were 2:53, 2:57. They were 5:50 at 2 kilometres. So we'll see what they are at 3, and if they are slowing, or Izzy Bat-Doyle is just pacing it that little bit better.
Yeah, you can see her there in 4th place. Just looks like steely-eyed, determined and focused to manage that gap. And it's kind of like, depending on where we are in the lap, it looks like the camera angle is foreshortening that gap potentially. But I think it is just gradually closing. And if so, she's working very hard out there in order to manage it as she remains in 4th place. I think clearly there it is closing now. Certainly she's moving faster.
Oh, it is indeed. Yeah, go on.
We'll come back to the 5,000 in a moment, and this is Van Hooyen in the long jump. So last time we looked, we were in the third round, and Marisa Lozola was leading with a best of 6:43. See, Van Hoyen almost looks like she's joining the 5,000 by running adjacent for just a short moment. She has a best so far of 5:87. And we still have just 3 athletes who are over 6 meters to this point. Good speed there. Just a little bit flat with the jump. You can see, wow, okay, that angle really shows it quite clearly. Well back on foot placement from Van Hoyen, but coaching advice, I'm sure, will get that just right. Best remains 5:87.
Well, and this is interesting. Izzy Batdal, unfortunately, she would have come here, looked on paper and thought, I'm in the perfect race for these women to drive me round to a fast time, but she finds herself at the head of the field, pushing on. She's been very even. I missed that 3-kilometer split. We were watching the jump at that moment in time, but I want to say it was in 9 minutes. Judging by this lap split, it would both inside 15 minutes. She will have an eye on standard of 14:52. She's going to want to nail 4 laps to run, a mile to go here for these women. A third of the race left as well, as now again the young Ethiopian, perhaps showing her inexperience, Alex, surges back to the front but doesn't really do anything with it.
Well, fascinating, and it just goes to show you when you throw quality athletes together, they've got to have it in their heads to just deal with however the race might unfold. And for Batdal, as you said, she's had to manage that gap. She's worked her way up to the lead group, maybe easier than she might would have expected, given how much they've gone away from her. And now they've come back to her, and it's like you need some wise heads and some experience now. We could even have others joining this group, like a Chibet and Machado.
Yeah, these women are running very well. In behind, actually, I had Rule there, the other Australian, and I had her just sort of aside 9 minutes to 3,000, so pretty close to the 15-minute tempo herself. And yeah, Izzy Batdal potentially might be getting a little bit frustrated at her position at the moment. You can see her sort of chopping in and out. Look, she's got terrific strength. That's the way she trains. She's like I said, world championship performer over the marathon. Broders near the pole vault. Oh, okay. Well, like for like, Alex, we've seen 3 of virtually the same vault. And unfortunately, he bows out. Another win here in Liège for him. He'll take.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, to be attempting this sort of height is fantastic for Broders. And he's put on a good show for the crowd.
Well, hasn't he? Right, this is the 4-kilometer split just come up then. What will these women be at? They look like they're going to be somewhere around that 11:50 mark, which would put them, that's sort of 2 kilometers, 11:52 there. So I had them that 2 kilometers from 2 to 4 kilometers at 6:02 for the front end. Izzy Batdal sitting in 4th place. Looks just be getting a little bit detached as well. There's confirmation of that men's pole vault. Broders with the victory there, 5:66. And the rest followed him behind. We had a couple no marks as well, Alex. Disappointing to see Holstep there. Man of his credentials. Olympic bronze medal back in 2012. Not go clear here in Liège. But, well, Yavi's time's at the front then, and it's enough. 2 laps to run. She's going to look to stretch things out. And they're asked question of this young, inexperienced Ethiopian, the one we are so excited about seeing here in Liège.
Yes, and Batdal, unfortunately, off the back of this group is just 2 now. We've got Yavi in the khaki vest and Welteji in the pink, now fighting tooth and nail. And so often we just have to be patient and see how the story of the race will unfold. And it was 3, then it was 4, surprisingly, and now just 2 at the front here. And Yavi using her experience as well, and clearly only looking in front. Good battle, though, also between Noor and Batdal, 3rd and 4th. And Batdal, I suppose, now that gap has opened up quite wide. She just has to do what she can to hold on to 3rd place, it seems.
Tell you what, it's going to be a memorable evening for her if she can hold it together and really push on this last 600, because she is so close to that Olympic qualifying standard of 14:52. And the best thing about it, it's going to have competition over that last lap to really drag her around to the fastest time possible. Look, Yave and Amaya Walteje up at the front then. What will this Ethiopia do? Will she ease past this experienced steeplechase, this world champion over the 3,000 steeplechase, Yave of Bahrain? She's a fantastic runner on that Diamond League circuit as well. It's great to see her at a 5,000 actually. Often we see her outside of the 7.5 lap steeplechase event over the barriers, but well, Amaya Welche, is she just biding her time? This is one of the most exciting prospects we've seen out of Ethiopia for quite some time. We know they are great at producing young talents time and time again. You look at the likes of Kajocha, Bakili, Rega. They were all sort of 17, 18 at the very height of the sport, and this lady is no different as she just pushes on this final 150 meters now. Winning is what she does. She's going to soar to a lifetime best. She's going to be well inside 15 minutes, and you know what? I think there's more in the tank. She is barely scratching the surface with what she can do. Yahweh's got to be proud of her efforts here today. 14:39, that official winning time from Amaya Welche, the youngest ever World Junior Champion over the cross country, and she's got to be up there on that all-time list, Alex, for those under 25,000 meter rankings, because that is some time.
Absolutely extraordinary as well. I think she kind of shot onto the scene, being really impressive at the World Cross Country Championships. She really emerged there, Alamea Welteji, but yeah, the confidence to hold on against Yavi and ultimately to unleash a great kick on that final lap, and sometimes to be so patient in doing that is one of the most impressive parts.
It is indeed, and you know what? I want to go out there and say Bat Doyle was inside that qualification standard of 14:52 for Paris. She's nailed it. She nailed it here in Liège, and look, credit to her as well, because she made it happen. There were times in that race where it would have been easy just to sit there and forth, not do any of the work, but she kept that pace the whole way. And look, I'm only going by her reaction. Couldn't quite see the clock. We'll get those official results shortly. But, well, how about this lady then? To turn up here, 14:39. Barely a break of sweat either, is it? We'll see her, I'm sure. Hopefully in Paris, if not there, throughout the rest of the season, on that Diamond League circuit and beyond.
So Luzolo in the fourth round now of this long jump competition, and we now have a fourth athlete over 6 meters. 6 meters exactly for Irma Gunnarsdottir. Let's see what Luzolo can do here. Already with that lead, 6:43. Ahead of 6:27 for Malin Stavanov. So waiting for her moment on the runway then. Luzolo. Really good speed. Keeps her head down. Now looks up. Looks for that good placement and flies into the pit. And see how she carries the energy through. Looking a bit disappointed though. Didn't get the best side of the distance. Have another look here. That's why the red flag did, as a result, come up for Luzolo, but Vinot still leads the competition. Just confirmation that time then for Marta Alamea Welteji, 14:39.61. So a couple of seconds ahead, and you're right. Yes, all top four athletes, Matt, inside the Olympic qualifying mark of 14:52.
That's it. Some race, and these women, they made it happen. It was set up quite nicely for them early, but they did have to do quite a lot of the work. I think it helped that they all took turns at the front, including of Izzy Bat Doyle. But yeah, we mentioned what's LJ. We see her in Paris, likely given that Ethiopian team. But I think it would be great to see her because I think she's got a lot more in her tank. In that 14:39, she's only scratching the surface. But what can you do when you've several women who are more than capable of sort of in the realms of 14:15 and below? An incredible nation.
And by the way, as we have a look at the World Under-20 list, just peeking at that, she goes 11th on that, and everyone else ahead of her on that Under-20 list all time is Ethiopian. Just exemplifying what you just said.
Yep, they just have, the philosophy, and I know many will look at their training setup in envy as well. They sort of height, the altitude, height, the elevation they train at. is one that we can almost marvel at, to be honest with you. The ability they have to actually get work done, and of a high intensity as well at those sorts of height is quite astonishing. And of course, living there all year round helps as well.
Yeah, some great athletes on that list, by the way, who've obviously gone on to senior titles, including Tiranesh Dibaba, Letesen Betgide, more recently, and then some other names I haven't heard of. You know, some people that haven't gone on to great senior success. And that's one reason why I think you have to appreciate what someone does at under 20 level. It may just be their greatest career achievement and something to be very, very proud of.
I think you're dead right. You never know what might happen. She could suffer injury after injury, couldn't she, over the next few years and never quite get back to this level. So I'm a firm believer, yes, you sort of credit their work at under 20s, but also at a senior level as well. And 14:39 is an exceptional time even for a senior. So that's where she is, and over to that women's long jump, which is nearing a close now.
Yeah, so 6 meters already for Irma Gunnarsdottir of Iceland, 26-year-old, saying she had 14 national titles across indoors and out. Again, keeps accelerating down that runway. We're keen to have a look here, see that she does get the white flag. Great to see all these different camera angles. Here's head on. The official looking very closely, yes. That was clear in the end on the board. So we are still in this second half of the competition and now into the 5th round, in fact. So Gunnarsdottir looks as though this measurement is 5:64. Something else I can tell you about that 5,000 final. Bat Doyle, so 14:49. She goes 4th on the Australian all-time list as well, behind Rose Davis, national record recently. Jessica Hull, 2nd on that list, and Benita Willis-Johnson. So we will have the men's steeplechase as the final race of the night, but before then, a little bit shorter, thirdly, with 400 metres and the barriers in the way. So WACT Bex, we saw there on the outside, reigning Belgian champion. This is Alex Porras, a former European under-18 silver medalist. Over to Stéphane Yato of France, personal best from 2022 of 49.73. Martin Tuček from Czechia, also PB from 2 years ago, this time set in Ostrava and home soil 49.97. On to Mimoun Abdul Wahab, a former world under-20 finalist. This is Tour Bra, also a European under-18 silver medalist, but over the shorter sprint hurdles, Artur Terezan. I love it when you see the kind of famous vest. We saw Barcelona earlier, and that's a Sporting Lisbon or Sporting Clube de Portugal. And this is Adam Mayo of South Africa on the inside, 52.33 at best. So real range of times among these athletes between 52 seconds and low 49s. We quite often do see big gaps in these sorts of races, so let's see how this one will play out with Mayo, Terezan, Bras, Abdul Wahab, Tuček, Yato, Porras and Bex. Crowd goes very, very quiet there all of a sudden. No surprise there, but making up good ground already is Terezan, 2nd from the inside, about to shoot past Bras. Also rising nicely is Abdul Wahab in the pink vest. Personal best for him of 49.81 in Slovakia last month. And then we look over to Yato in the orange, the Frenchman. 50.06 last Saturday for a season's best. So looking to go sub 50 for the first time this year, an obvious target. Yato in the orange. Abdul Wahab in the pink, just straining to get over that last hurdle. Now into this final barrier. Abdul Wahab, much better momentum off that. And I think he just does go sub 50 seconds. Clock appeared to stop briefly at 49.9. And looks pretty pleased with that one there, Matt.
Yeah, we'll wait for those official results for men's 4 hurdles. Anytime you've seen a sub 50 clocking is pretty special indeed, isn't it?
Abdul Wahab with a pretty measured race also. And he's one of the few in this field, just looking, he's the only athlete who's set a personal best this year. And that was last month. He's still just 20 years of age as well. It was a bit of a stutter into the barrier, but he had plenty of speed left to give.
Yeah, 50.02. Got an anxious wait to see if it was a lifetime best. So here we go. Oh, how about that?
Well, the hurdles are being put away, and you know what they'll be replaced with, the higher hurdles for the steeplechase, but Abdul Wahab winning there 50.02. Don't forget, of course, in the field, we've still got the conclusion of the women's long jump. Okay, so Stavanov, we've seen quite a few of her attempts so far, and it remains 6:27 is her best from the second round. 6:07, 6:27, 6:06 and 6:16. Pretty consistent from the young German.
C'est sûr. Ici, il me reste plus beaucoup de courses à faire avant la fin pour se qualifier pour les JO.
Stavanov, 5th round. Driving hard down this runway now. Hits the board but doesn't execute. Just runs straight through. So, should have one more jump from Luzolo, our event leader, in this 5th round. Of course, the top 8 having 3 further jumps in the second half of the competition, and the order reset from 8th to 1st as they were at the end of that 3rd round. So that's why Luzolo will go last here. And 6:43.
Avec les 2 courses que j'aurai la semaine prochaine au championnat de Belgique, j'espère que ça sera l'occasion de le faire. En tout cas, que ça soit aux séries ou en finale, moi je vais tout donner pour le faire.
So 6:60 she jumped last month.
Ça vous paraît possible?
Can
Vous
she
l'avez
get
dans les
closer
jambes?
to that? Former World Under 20 medalist. That was 10 years ago. Best of the European Team Championship in 2021, and that could well have been better.
Il faut prendre tous les risques pour pas avoir de regrets.
Certainly close to that 6:50 line. She has a shake of the head though.
Donc ouais, il me reste 2 combats, j'ai rien d'autre à jouer cette saison, donc autant prendre des risques et essayer d'y arriver.
Merci Mimoun, c'est tout le mal qu'on vous souhaite. Merci beaucoup.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, Alex? I think she's much done enough to win this competition, and you talk to officials at World Athletics and why they seek that change. And I think one of the biggest things is not much happens in this 6th final round. And is that unfair to say? I mean, you're at European Championships yourself, but often we'll see, a big jump in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round even, and it tends to be that come the 6th round, people just sort of stay in their positions. How do we add a little bit more jeopardy to that 6th and final round? And I know they've tried time and time again by sort of reordering things, cutting the field size down.
Yeah, well, I don't think cutting the attempts down is really the answer, and certainly the athletes don't feel that way, it seems. And that's the key factor, isn't it? Having the athletes actually on board, like we've seen with cutting time qualifiers from middle distance heats, for example. It seems generally, yes, it's a bit of a sea change, but it has, I think, the majority athlete support. I mean, in the long jump, it just depends on the competition sometimes, and sometimes we do see great final rounds. You think there's no need to mess about with actually the way it works. The difficulty comes when you have, from a broadcast point of view, the unpredictability of when the best jump will be. I think that's quite a challenge. And that, I think, is one of the reasons why we tend to see experimentation with how it works, trying to hope that the best action will come in the final round, or trying to add some extra gloss around that those last jumps so they have extra gravitas. But in reality, the athletes might be a little bit more tired towards the end of the competition. So this is Van Hoyen. I think she was just looking down there for foot placement and didn't have the cleanest acceleration into that jump. So best remains 5.97, and that was actually just a few moments ago in the 5th round. Yes, not the first time we've seen her foot well back there. So let's see again. I think she just was very conscious of it, Matt.
Yeah, she certainly was. It's look, that will be a series of rounds. She'll get that feedback to her coach. And yeah, you mentioned that Teague in that 6th and final round. Look, her best jump coming 5.97 there. This event is very explosive, and even if you're just a fraction, carrying a fraction of fatigue going into it, that can change the outcome quite drastically. Well, then the final track event, the final event of the evening, if you like, this 3,000 metre men's steeplechase race on the outside there, Tripas of Australia, and studied at Washington University, Princeton as well, now part of that OAC Oceania group. Lawrence Kemboy, Kip Sang, Wilberforce Connes as well. Them two will be pacers, and we've got steeplechase royalty, or athletics royalty, if you like, in this race tonight. Concessless Kipruto, it's fair to say he's not having the season he perhaps would want by any means. Yeah, the man whose lifetime best, 8 minutes flat. Quite astonishing, really. Well, there's Clement Labar as well, someone to look out for in this one, the Belgian. But there he is in Concessless Kipruto, Olympic champion in 2016, 2-time world champion in 17 and 19 as well. What Concessless are we going to get today, though? I can tell you a season best of just 8:43 won't scare this man, Ben Yazidi. And it's worth noting he is of Morocco, not Kenya. 3rd in Nice last week, but in a very strong time, just outside 8:20, 8:17 season best as well. And he was 3rd as World Under-20 Championships in 2022. Yazidi Salahedini. So 7.5 laps of track, no messing around there. Conditions near perfect here in Liège, and of course they'll miss the water jump this first time around. Pacemakers to the fore, and look, you know, it is that time of year where athletes have one thing on their mind, that's Olympic standards. They've got to get their ranking points up as well if they want to be in Paris at the biggest event of them all. And this looks a fairly kind of cagey start. These men will all file in, they'll sight this barrier, hence why they're swinging one a little bit in lanes sort of 2 and 3 early on. They'll sight the early barrier, but Concessless means business here.
So back to the long jump. This is Ilse Stegenger, Dutch woman. So far 5.97. That was back in the 1st round. Although she has had 4 jumps within 12 centimetres of one another. So has been consistent, certainly. And technique looks good once again. So let's see if she can get over 6 metres. Lozolo with 6.36, that last jump for the event leader. Also putting together a good series here. Stegenger, one of the better placements on the board there that we've seen. There's been some inconsistency in that regard. Obviously we're talking about Rome where they had that raised board, which did seem to help, did seem to have some spring in it, which helped the athletes with their momentum and their placement again. We'll come back to the long jump in a moment, but back to the steeplechase for now.
Well, it's relatively quick early on, and you can tell that by this field being stretched up. We've got a mix of abilities here. We've got a few men in this field who will be looking at Olympic standard 8.15, believe it or not. No one's actually got that this year. Closest man is Ben Yazidi of Morocco, who was 3rd in Nice, his lifetime best at 8.17. That was set back last year. You can just see him on the outside, just drifting his way up a little bit as well. And it's worth mentioning there, Baptiste Fomon of France, 4th in IFAM. At that meeting here in Belgium, he likes competing in Belgium. That was a lifetime best of 8.21 there. And French steeplechasing is just on fire right now. We saw that 1-2 at the European Championships. I mean, he not only has to worry about that Olympic standard, but perhaps what he can do at that French National Championship as well. Can he get amongst the medals? Can he make the top 5? But maybe he'll be looking at this year as a good sort of building block. Can he build off it? But Alex, what you're seeing here is people who are looking at Concessless going, he's an 8 flat runner. We'll see what he's going to do. But they're sort of queuing up behind him a little bit as he lets those paces go, and someone's got to get back on to those paces if they want a fast time today.
Yeah, fascinating to see. I always, when I see Caputo, I remember when he won the Diamond League in 2018 with one shoe. Hopefully he'll keep both on this time. This is Levi Buda then in the final round of this long jump competition. So 6:23 so far, and that puts her in 3rd place. Moving up in the last round, of course. 6:27 and 6:43, Stavanov, Lazola respectively. The others ahead of her. It's the German 1-2-3 in fact now, of course. 6:05, no improvement. Back to the steeplechase.
There's also an athlete in that lead group that it's worth mentioning, and that's Leo Magnusson of Sweden as well. In other countries seem to just be developing steeplechasers like no other. And look, we're seeing what we've seen all season long with Concessless Caputo. He's just filing back through the field. He gets after it early on and just struggling. And it's a shame to see a man of his caliber, an Olympic champion, in this event. Well, in many ways it's good to see him out here, but it's a shame to see him just not at his best. As the pacemakers still do a good job, it's Yazidini up front, and he'll be a little bit unfamiliar with this. All the races he's been in so far, he's had people help him out. He's had a train of men to sort of gun down and fight with over the last few laps. And look at Magnusson there. He's in the just to the left of your picture there. You can just about see him. And he finished very, very fast in Nice on, well, a few nights ago. Saturday night it was for 18, which was a massive lifetime best. Somewhat 6 and a bit seconds off his lifetime best there. Just starting to bunch up then at the moment. Alex will get an eye on that 2 kilometre split. We missed the kilometre mark as well, but look, this sort of bunching would indicate, especially with a field of this calibre, would indicate that things are relatively slow. And look, 5:30 over on the far side would be 8:15 pace. I think they're operating around about 8:25 pace at the moment, hence why we see so many men in contention.
Back to the long jump and heading. So she had been in 3rd place and then pushed down by the German Libby Buda. So waiting for her. So as a result, we'll go back to the steeplechase and we can see Seriak and Kipsang at the front here.
And I tell you what, this is a terrific run from Omar Zadic on the outside, the Algerian, because he's got a season best of 8:37 and he is pushing things on now. He's on the coattails of Kipsang, who was down to be a pacemaker, but he's gone well beyond 2,000 metres.
Yeah, heading now, ready to jump. Let's have a look at the young Australian here. There's another that's very close on the board. Let's hope we get that better angle once again. This, of course, the last chance for her to improve. 6:05 up till this point. Was in 3rd, pushed to 4th by Buda. Oh, that is perfect. So it looks. So final round for heading 5.99. Well, 5.99 is great when it's a discount price at the supermarket, but she would prefer to be over 6 meters.
Well, he did right there, and we'll just turn back to this men's steeplechase because Kipsang is still in it. He's done a great job placing. I wonder if he's just going to look to finish this race. Sarach on the outside. Well, Ben Yazidi, I think after his great performance a few nights ago, this is almost a championship-esque race for him. He's going to hone in on his championship-style racing. Can he finish fast?
Yeah, unfolding really nicely, isn't it? Stavanov then in 2nd place. 6:27 so far. This is her last bid to overtake a more experienced teammate, Lazzolo. 16 centimeters between them.
All right, hopefully we can see this whole last lap pan out. We've been here, there, and everywhere in this men's 3,000 meter steeplechase. 7:20 at the bell. Well, these men can kick off for that. We see time and time again, men roll a 60 over that final lap. Don't forget, it's a slightly shorter lap as well. We've got so many names in there. We got Baptiste Formon of France. He's a cap. Sarach at the front. And this is interesting to see Well, Yazidi, the man I sort of looked at, Yazidi, to really take this one on, but Magnussen, he closed awfully fast in Nice. He beat Yazidi there. Can he do it again here? Look at him just over these final few flights. This is his trademark kick, you like. The Luxembourg athlete as well, Credejon, in second place, moving well in the black tool figure. So the final water jump to go, the Magnussen of Sweden. He's sort of come out of nowhere this season. Like many in this event, he's got from 8.24 man down to an 8.18. Can he run something similar as well? Ben Yazidi of Morocco just on the outside over that last barrier. Clear, but this is what Magnussen does. He did it in Nice. He's going to do it here in Liège. 8.21 is it on the clock unofficially. And another fantastic performance backing up. It wasn't just a fluke a few nights ago. And that's going to do wonders for his world ranking positions as well. I know he's outside that 8.15, but there are still, 20 or so spots, 15 or so spots in the men's 3,000 steeplechase to improve on their world ranking to get that invite to Paris. But yeah, Sweden a sport for choice in steeplechases at the moment, I must say. But there's a new one, a new name to throw into the hat.
Absolutely extraordinary, yes, because you know, Sweden had two men in that European final, Blomberg and Sundström, but just this month, three of them have set the fastest, three of the fastest 6 times on the Swedish all-time list. So that is incredible and backs up exactly what you're saying. But Magnussen, wonderfully timed final lap there, because there were 4, 5, 6 men fighting. You just couldn't call that one. You had Buchholz trying to come through, as well as the Luxembourg athlete as well, Kerinjan, but Magnussen made that one his own.
Oh, he really did, and that caps off a fantastic meeting here in Liège. I believe Alex will just try and conclude that women's long jump as well.
Yes, so last we saw, Lozola was leading. Of course, she may have decided not to take her final jump. No, she has. Give her the benefit of the doubt. Here she is on the runway then. Marisa Lozzolo trying to get the crowd going. Obviously that is difficult naturally at this point in the competition, because many of the crowd have seen the big events. And hopefully some of them stayed until the very end, the very last jump here in Liège. Marisa Lozzolo, 4 jumps over 6.25. Gives it good speed here. Watch for feet. And just the way she carries that speed through into the jump. Look disappointed once again though. 6.36 in the 5th round. Second best so far. So even her second and third best jumps would have won the competition today. And that's always the mark of a classy athlete, isn't it, Matt?
It really is. And again, this time of the season, consistency is key. Especially its level, when you look at making it out of those heats, those pools at a major championship, you just need to be consistent and nail that jump. So 6.43 for her today. Another champion from Germany here in Liège. But that men's steeplechase as well has concluded, and I'm just waiting for those official results. And oh, can you believe it? I'm looking at the meet record of 8.21.78. Hisham Seguini back in 2012. And look at that, Leo Magnussen dips inside it, 8.21.74. No one inside that Olympic qualifying time of 8.15, so perhaps a few tired legs out there as well. But some great lifetime best. Ben Yazidi backing up his performances, always operating around that low 8.20s as well. And Concestas Bruto, believe it or not, the Olympic champion from 2016 down there in 14th place. What a fantastic evening it's been. I've been your commentator, Matt Said, and been joined alongside Alex Seffel as well, the man behind the stats. We've seen meet record, we've seen lots of lifetime bests as well, and you know what, these athletes have got 10 or so days before that Olympic window closes and those Paris qualification marks are finalised. So until then, we'll see you next time.
athlètes belges ont brillamment presté. Et on l'a dit tout à l'heure, on est par rapport aux autres années 4 semaines plus tôt que d'habitude, eu égard aux internationaux et aux Jeux Olympiques de Paris notamment. On vous donne rendez-vous, mesdames et messieurs, avec les athlètes belges pour un championnat de Belgique sur 2 jours qui promet, c'est dans 2 jours, au stade Roi-Beauvoir, au stade où s'exerce notamment le club de l'Excelsior. Donc samedi et dimanche, dans 10 jours, rendez-vous avec le championnat de Belgique, toute catégorie et les athlètes dans l'histoire, les Belges notamment, vont encore certainement prester au premier, ce sera une dernière semaine passée de fête en minimum pour les Jeux Olympiques. Donc on parle de temps, et vous allez certainement suivre soit sur place, soit sur les antennes de la STBF.